Hi everyone, please subscribe to my channel. Blood Immortal. See playlist for other chapters and novels. Join now our Telegram channel now and enjoy exclusive early access. t.me/blood_immortal_official. I do not translate the novels. Credits goes to original translator and author of the novel. I only make it as an audiobook so it would be easier to just listen while doing other things. Credits goes to the author of the novel. I convert stories to audiobook for mental health, for multitasking purpose, for accessibility and time saving. Listening to audiobook is also beneficial for people who have disability. It improves our listening skills and improve our English comprehension, vocabulary and other things. So, thank you for listening. Thank you and thank you very much for your support. Chapter 921, Do Something Real Big. Chapter 921, Do Something Real Big. There's nothing that's impossible. Well, it's not as though you could possibly block a punch that's the size of a sandbag. Lin Fan walked up ahead with a carefree expression on his face. It was as though the duel earlier on was nothing but a warm-up for him. Has he already lost? All of the disciples who were busy running off realized that it hadn't been long since they had started running. But, when they turned their heads around, all of them could only watch with their jaws agape as their eyeballs nearly popped out. Lei Quanglong lost. Bloody hell. This was some big sh*t now. The Holy Master came to a stop, and so did the other people from the other halls. All of them stood up in the void and looked at that absolutely unbelievable figure right there with a dumbfounded expression. Lei Ming won. He took down Lei Quanglong. This was not a dream, right? This was especially the case for the Holy Master, whose tongue was entirely tangled right now. She hadn't expected that Lei Ming would have won. But, Lei Quanglong was someone who possessed the Thunder City. This Thunder City was a treasure crafted out by the old Master Thunder himself. To think that Lei Ming could take down the Thunder City along with him. How could anyone believe this? My young little brother Quanglong, how does it feel right now? Lin Fan stood before Lei Quanglong and chuckled out softly. However, in the latter's eyes, that laughter was nothing more than mockery. Damn it! Lei Quanglong's voice was hoarse as he roared out. That fist from the other party earlier on clearly did not pack that much of a power to it. But, there was no way of dodging it at all. Everything that had happened was entirely within the control of the other party. So, the disciplinary hall is going to belong to me, Lei Ming, from now on forth. As for you, you can go elsewhere to play now. However, if you can't bear to leave this place, I suppose we have room for someone to do some odd jobs here and there. Lin Fan said. Oh, this Thunder City seems pretty interesting though. However, there's not much use to it. The Thunder City that was in Lin Fan's hands had long been subdued by him. The Thunder Pool within was pretty decent. However, Lin Fan did not have much use for it. Something to cultivate one's body. Lin Fan's physical body had long reached the immemorial ancient full cultivation state. What was there to cultivate anymore? Return the Thunder City to me. Lei Quanglong howled out. That Thunder City represented everything about him. If he did not have the Thunder City, there would be a huge dip in his powers. From now on forth, there would be no chance of him making a comeback any longer. Do you want it? Lin Fan dangled the Thunder City before Lei Quanglong's eyes and tempted him with it, who looked at him with bloodshot eyes. He could not help but stretch out his hand to try and grab it. However, he caught nothing but air. If you want it, say it. But, you can't get violent now. Lin Fan chuckled out. What do you want from me? Lei Quanglong seethed through gritted teeth. If looks could kill, Lei Quanglong would have already killed Lin Fan thousands of times over by now. It's nothing much. All I am asking you is whether you admit defeat or not. Right now, Lin Fan wanted to suppress that haughty heart of Lei Quanglong entirely. Lei Quanglong lowered his head with an extremely grim expression. He would absolutely not say something as humiliating as such. Seems like you're not going to admit defeat, Since that's the case, this Thunder City. I guess I'll just have to give it away. Lin Fan chuckled before turning around to the masses who were spectating. Anyone out there who wants to get their hands on this Thunder City? All they have to do is say that they acknowledge my strength, and I'll give you this toy then. You dare to? Lei Quanglong bellowed out. That's given to me by the old Master Thunder. You dare to give it away? So what? We're all from the Thunder race. Does it matter whose hands it is in as long as it's within the Thunder race? How now? If you refuse to acknowledge my strength and admit defeat, this Thunder City will just have to belong to someone else who would. Lin Fan replied. This offer of Lin Fan had many people feeling itchy in their hearts. Naturally, the Holy Master of the Holy Thunder Hall could not say out something as such. But on the other hand, Qingshan, who was beside her, spoke up, "Hall Master Lei Ming, I acknowledge." "Oh, see, someone's acknowledging my strength." Lin Fan smiled out. Following tightly after Qingshan was a series of shouts from various other Hall Masters. "Hall Master Lei Ming, I acknowledge your strength too." "Me too, please give that Thunder City over to me." As long as it was someone from the Thunder race, there couldn't be anyone who could possibly not want to get their hands on the Thunder City. And now that Lei Quanglong had been suppressed by Lin Fan, there were even more disciples of the Thunder race who were no longer fearful of his might. With such a treasure right here, wouldn't they be silly if they gave up on it? At this moment, Lei Quanglong was entirely incensed. "Lei Ming. You'd dare." Lin Fan could only laugh out coldly before turning his body around. "Why wouldn't I dare to?" When Lei Quanglong caught sight of that figure of his, he truly felt a sense of defeat. He mustn't lose that Thunder City. If he lost it, everything would be over. "I admit defeat," Lei Quanglong growled out in a low ruff as though he was venting out all the frustration in his heart. The moment Lin Fan heard this, he smirked out and tossed the Thunder City back into the embrace of Lei Quanglong. The moment Lin Fan got his hands on this treasure, he had already noticed that there was the presence of the old Master Thunder's imprint within it. If he were to forcefully snatch it over and wipe away the imprint of the old Master Thunder, it would naturally raise the suspicion of the old Master Thunder. At the same time, Lin Fan would have no use for this treasure. As the old Master Thunder was not appearing just yet, it must mean that he was just observing how everything would develop. If Lin Fan were to go overboard, it might be probable that the old Master Thunder might descend himself because of that. At this moment when Lei Quanglong received the Thunder City in his embrace, his face was filled with relief. As long as the Thunder City was in his hands, he felt at ease. "Ha ha ha," Lin Fan reared his head and laughed out wildly before stomping down on Lei Quanglong's face and walking by him. "From now on forth, I, Lei Ming, shall be in charge of the disciplinary hall. If anyone wishes to join the disciplinary hall, you've got to seize this rare opportunity right now. Tomorrow, your hall master shall personally take a team out to go train outside. This is an opportunity not to be missed. If you miss it, it's not coming again." Piok. Being stomped down by Lin Fan had Lei Quanglong's heart surging with flames of indignance. However, at the same time, he knew that he was no match for the other party. Therefore, he could only endure silently. That tyrannical behavior of Lin Fan on the other hand shocked all the disciples who were present. This was especially the case for the Holy Master, who hadn't expected Lei Ming to suddenly take on the seat of the Hall Master of the Disciplinary Hall with such lightning-fast speed that no one could ever have hoped to prepare for. All the original disciples of the Disciplinary Hall yelled out in a high voice, "Welcome to Hall Master Lei Ming." For them, it didn't matter who the Hall Master was. As long as there was someone who could bring them out and about to put on an act and carry them in life, that was all they needed. And now that this Lei Quanglong had been defeated, all it meant was that the strength of the new Hall Master was even more formidable. From now on forth, which other hall would dare to bully them within the Thunder sect? And, the fact that the new Hall Master said that he was going to take them out personally the next day had them feeling even more emotional. While they had gone out for training back when they joined the disciplinary hall, most of the time, it would be something they did on their own. This Lei Quanglong had just been cultivating in seclusion the entire time. And, the other Vice Hall Masters did not take them for something either. Who in the world would bring them out to show off some might to the rest? This single gesture of Lin Fan had attracted the affection of the masses. This new Hall Master was pretty nice. All the masses of the other halls felt their hearts skip a beat. This Lei Quanglong was someone tricky to deal with to begin with. But, to think that this newly minted Hall Master would be even more troublesome. N-O-V-E in .c ohm. How else were they going to lead their lives from now on? Lin Fan was too lazy to compete with the other halls. As long as he could bring those from the disciplinary hall out to create a mess, that would be more than enough. Tomorrow, he was going to do something real big. Chapter 922, The Locust Army Strikes. Chapter 922, The Locust Army Strikes. Lin Fan had settled into the disciplinary hall officially. Even though the name was a little gaudy sounding, he had no intention of changing it at all. After all, he was not going to linger around the Thunder sect for too long. Once he was done with what he had to, he would leave immediately. The act of Lin Fan taking down Lei Quanglong with such absolute power and snatching over the seat of the Hall Master of the Disciplinary Hall naturally created an uproar throughout the entire Thunder sect. There were countless disciples discussing this affair. Naturally, news of this was undoubtedly earth-shattering. Lei Quanglong and the other 4 vice hall masters had been swept out of the disciplinary hall, and were arriving at the area where the unaffiliated disciples lived right now. Hall master, we feel indignant. The other 4 vice hall masters said with fury. They could not bear to rip Lin Fan apart cruelly. However, they knew that they could not compare with him in terms of strength. And for the time being, there was nothing they could do to raise their strength in a short period of time either. If even Lei Quanglong wasn't a match for him, it was needless to even talk about themselves. When they were faced up against Lei Ming, they could not even withstand a single blow of his. What sort of horror was that? The face of Lei Quanglong was darker than anything else right now. This was the most humiliating experience he had ever gone through. No matter what, he had to seize back everything he had lost. This is a vengeance we have to return no matter what. Everything I've lost, I must definitely take it back with my very own hands. Lei Ming, we'll just let him gloat in his arrogance for the time being. But in reality, Lei Quanglong's inner heart was feeling a little defeated. Initially, he had thought that the old Master Thunder would actually intervene. But, who would have thought that there was no sign of the old Master Thunder even at the end of it all? At this moment, Lei Quanglong finally understood it. He could only depend on himself for everything. However, now that his underlings were questioning it all, he naturally could not show signs of weakness. He had to endure for the time being to ensure that things went smoothly. Once the opportunity arose, he would definitely have Lei Ming pay the price. Holy Thunder Hall, Holy Master, that Lei Ming is not coming for the feast. He said that he has no time. According to the wishes of the Holy Master, Qingshan had invited Lin Fan for a feast. But, who would have thought that she would be sent back without even getting a chance to look at him in the face? The face of the Holy Master was calm without much of a reaction. However, Qingshan knew that her Holy Master must be fuming in her heart. However, it was just that Lei Ming's strength was far too strong, and he wasn't someone that ordinary people could ever hope to deal with. There was probably no other way about this matter except swallowing it in their stomachs. I've got it. Just pay attention to every single move the disciplinary hall makes from now on. The Holy Master replied. Yes. The next day, Lin Fan had scoured around the entire disciplinary hall once. However, he did not find anything valuable. Seemed like everything valuable must have been reaped in by Lei Quanglong beforehand. This was pretty infuriating. At this moment outside the main hall, the disciples of the disciplinary hall were standing properly in a formation and with full attention. Everyone was beyond excited in their hearts, because today was the day their hall master was going to take them out to make it big out there. Lin Fan stood on an elevated platform and took a look at the dense clusters of disciples below. He then waved out with his arm, "Army, let's move out." Instantly, Lin Fan enveloped these disciples in his aura and dove into the void, heading out into the vast world outside. When some of the disciples who were tasked to keep watch over the disciplinary hall caught sight of that huge group of people, they were stunned for a moment as well. They did not know what Lei Ming was up to. That night, Lin Fan had initially thought that the old Master Thunder would appear to meet him for a talk. But, to think that he did not make an appearance at all. Based on Lin Fan's train of thoughts, he garnered that the old Master Thunder naturally did not put him to heart at all. But, when he thought about the relationship between the bloodline of the Thunder race and the old Master Thunder, everything made sense to him. The old Master Thunder wielded control over the entire Thunder race's bloodline. It could be said that the life and death of all beings from the Thunder race belonged to him. Therefore, no matter how much of a ruckus he created, he was nothing more than an ant in the eyes of the old Master Thunder. "Hall Master, there are people up ahead." At this moment, a disciple shouted out. Naturally, Lin Fan had known from the start that there were people up ahead. And by the looks of it, there were quite a number of them. There should be at least a few thousands of living beings. When Lin Fan caught sight of these living beings, his eyes shone with a delighted glint. A plan then emerged in his mind. "Let's go. Today, I'll make sure you guys get rich." Lin Fan waved out with his arm to rally everyone's fighting morale. Most of the thousands of living beings up ahead were from the Wings race. They had gathered here because they had just come out of a secret ground. Every single being was letting out a gleeful expression. Evidently, they must have reaped in quite a fair bit of rewards from the secret ground. By now, the Wings race was also a race that had an utmost powerful being watching over them. Therefore, they naturally did not fear the ancient race even when they came out. Congratulations to Senior Brother Yi for obtaining the corpse of a supreme state powerful being. The surrounding disciples of the Wings race were gathered around a young man while congratulating him. A long time ago, this secret ground was the cenotaph of a supreme state powerful being. The greatest treasure within it was naturally the corpse of that supreme state powerful being. Even with the passage of time, that corpse was still extremely bedazzling and extraordinary. This was especially the case for those martial arts mystic runes on the bones of that corpse. They were the treasures amongst treasures. As long as one could comprehend the wisdom behind it, they would be able to inherit all the cultivation of that supreme state being. You guys have done decently as well to obtain the remaining pills and martial arts mystic skills left behind by that supreme state being. Right now, there's not much use of this secret ground any longer. Let us head back. Yi Hongtian laughed out cheerily. This time around, they had gained a ton from this expedition. As long as he were to cultivate this corpse when he returned, his cultivation state would definitely skyrocket. With that, his position in the sect would naturally rise incredibly high along with it. Senior brother, check it out. What's that there? Just at this moment, a disciple looked over into the distance and caught sight of some flashing thunderbolts. It was extremely imposing, hence, he could not help but ask out worriedly. The brows of Yi Hongtian furrowed as he cast his sights over. When he made clear of whom it was, he chuckled out, "It's nothing. That's just the Thunder Race. The Wings race have got a pretty good relationship with the Thunder Race. They should just be heading out for training and are passing by this area, that's all." Hall Master, that's the Wings race up ahead. N-O-V-E in .c ohm. When Lin Fan caught sight of everything ahead, he let out a smirk, "All right. Everyone, prepare yourselves. We'll just snatch away all the valuables they have." "Ah, but Hall Master, the relationship between the Wings race and the Thunder race is pretty good." A disciple said reluctantly. "What are you afraid of? This is a world where it's the survival of the fittest. Why should our disciplinary hall be afraid of anyone? The Wings race are the Wings race and our Thunder race is the Thunder race. We're from different races. Naturally, there's no such thing as a close relationship forever then. So what if we take away their treasures? They can only blame it on their own lack of strength. Why in the world would Lin Fan be bothered about all of this?" Right now, there was something wrong with the way the world worked. The utmost powerful beings did not make any moves, but they were all taking him as the #1 public enemy. If he didn't create a little something for them to get distracted with, how in the world could he continue to put on an act using his true face in the future? "Brothers of the Thunder Race, where are you guys headed off to?" Yi Hongtian yelled out to ask. "Brother, your mother. Everyone, go up there and strip them of their clothes." "Rob!" Lin Fan roared out and pushed out with his palms, suppressing all the beings from the Wings race immediately, rendering them unable to resist to fight back. "You guys!" Yi Hongtian was stunned, not expecting that things would turn out as such. And to his fright, it was as though his cultivation state had been sealed up by someone. There was nothing he could do to fight back at all. "All of you, go! We're not going to take any lives, but we're going to strip them clean." Lin Fan bellowed. "Yes, Hall Master." All the disciples of the disciplinary hall cheered out as they rushed up like a swarm of locusts. Chapter 923, The Crazy Robbing Party. Chapter 923, The Crazy Robbing Party. "Brothers of the Thunder Race, what are you guys doing? We're all good friends, aren't we? Holy FCK, how could you do this? Don't tear my clothes, otherwise, I'm going to get mad. What hall of the Thunder sect are you guys from? I'm going to go complain to your old master." Peok. A resounding slapping sound rang out. "Shut the FCK up. If you say anything more, I'm going to kill you." In order to set up a good example for these disciples of the disciplinary hall, Lin Fan naturally took the lead as the vanguard to take Yi Hongtian down immediately and rob him first. His storage rings were all confiscated, and even his clothes were not let off. He was left with just a single piece of underwear. "Stop that now. Return me my storage rings." "Just who in the world are you?" Yi Hongtian hollered out in rage. The corpse of that supreme state powerful being was within those storage rings along with a large chunk of his personal possessions. If it were all taken away by the other party, he would truly be taking a huge loss this time around. Lin Fan's moves were swift and ruthless. Instantly, he stripped Yi Hongtian clear and shouted out, "All right everyone, listen up. I am the Hall Master of the Thunder Race's disciplinary hall. So what if you guys are from the Wings race? Our Thunder Race is just going to rob you guys clean. Stop that. If you dare to continue as such, I'll definitely report it to my old master when I head back." Yi Hongtian was stumped. To think that these guys from the Thunder Race would dare to be this overbearing. They were totally disregarding any ties of friendship between them. Old Master of the Wings race. HMPH. Go back and report this properly then. Our old master gives no sh*t about that whatsoever, old master of yours. As long as you guys dare to step foot on the thunder race, I'm sure that our old master will have your old master looking to pick up his teeth from the ground. Lin Fan humiliated them indiscriminately. And, remember this as well. Our old master has said that the old master of your wings race is nothing more than a birdman, flapping his wings left and right all day and night. One of these days, he's going to roast your old master into a barbecued chicken. When Yi Hongtian heard these words, his entire face flushed red instantly. His eyes were like that of a mad bull right now as he glared at Lin Fan with a death stare. Why you? Lin Fan felt that he was truly being a little too much right now to put out such overbearing words. If these fellas were to head back and report this to Lucifer, he would definitely come straight for the life of the old Master Thunder. You what you? Could it be that you've got no idea how it's like for a birdman to be roasted? I'll let you know right now. Lin Fan gathered a strain of the power of thunder on his hands and pointed it out at Yi Hongtian's wings. A sizzling sound rang out along with a scent of a something being burnt. With that, the snow-white wings of Yi Hongtian suddenly had a charred black patch on it. Did you see that? That's what it's like to roast birdmen. Lin Fan replied. Ah, when Yi Hongtian caught sight of this, he roared out in anger, damn it. Lin Fan kicked Yi Hongtian down onto the ground instantly. Yi Hongtian, who was wearing nothing but his briefs, looked over at Lin Fan with his bare body, bearing an infuriated look in his eyes. Now that there was Lin Fan to lead them along the way, the disciples of the disciplinary hall were naturally extremely elated. To think that it would be so joyful robbing others. Ha ha ha, I've got myself an elixir. Holy FCK, that is a triple turns elixir. That thing can raise one's cultivation state. Do you want to swap it with me? I've got a godly medicine here. Get on the side, not swapping man. I found a martial arts mystic skill over here. This is a mystic skill that belongs to a supreme state powerful being. I've got a Dao weapon over here as well. What's a Dao weapon even comparable to? I've got myself a lower graded utmost treasure here. Oh, I'm so envious of you guys. The birdmen of the wings race that I've robbed here are simply way too poor. To think that they've only got Shenyang pills. Birdman, you had better hand over your stuff honestly. Are you still hiding anything else with you? No, this will not do. I'm going to strip you of your underwear as well to see if you've got anything else beneath. Holy FCK, all of you birdmen are simply way too crafty. To think that you would hide your treasures within your underwear. ... All of these disciples of the disciplinary hall were equally swift and ruthless. These utterly defenseless beings of the wings race were swiped clean in an instant without leaving them with anything. They were even more like bandits than bandits right now. At the start, there were some disciples who were hesitant to lay their hands on these people. But, when they caught sight of how their senior brothers were all receiving good items out of the robberies, they could not resist it in their hearts anymore. And thus, they too joined in with the huge robbing party. Thunder race. Our wings race will never let you guys off. Right now, Yi Hongtian's heart was bleeding out. They had obtained quite a few decent rewards from clearing the secret grounds. But, to think that these bandits of the thunder race would rob them clean of everything. How could they possibly endure this? A torrential amount of fury was accumulating in their hearts. This was simply way too intolerable. Seeing this current situation, Lin Fan was extremely pleased. The supreme state powerful being's corpse that Yi Hongtian had obtained in the secret ground was not of much use for Lin Fan. So, he tossed that sh*t into the Xuanwang world for Zhan Yongxian and the others to cultivate with. When he saw how that vast group of beings from the wings race were now stark naked without anything left, Lin Fan's heart skipped with joy. He then waved his hand. Alright, time to go. Lin Fan announced. Yes, Hall Master. The disciples of the disciplinary hall who had followed Lin Fan out were all extremely satisfied right now. Even if they had not robbed over anything particularly special, they had obtained quite a number of pills still. After Lin Fan and the others had left, Yi Hongtian flew into a rage. When he looked at his junior brothers whose faces were filled with looks of despair, his entire heart was just surging with wave after wave of hatred. N-O-V-E-N.C-O-M. Damn thunder race. WE will definitely not let you guys off. I must definitely report this matter over to the old master so that he can take care of these guys personally. Fellow junior brothers, we have endured the humiliation and robbing of the thunder race today. This is something we cannot possibly tolerate. Let us head back now and report this to the old master so that he can seek redressal for us. Yi Hongtian hollered out in wrath. Yes, report to the old master. From this day forth, the thunder race shall be the sworn enemy of our wings race. With that said, the entire group of butt-naked beings of the Wings race burst into the void and headed back to their base. Along the way, when various other races caught sight of these butt-naked beings of the Wings race, they were dumbfounded as well. From this moment forth, the name of the Wings race that had a weird fetish started spreading out amongst the thousands of races like wildfire. And at this moment, Lin Fan had already changed the location. Hall Master, to think that these guys from the crocodile race would be even poorer than those of the Wings race. There's simply nothing good to rob out of them, a disciple reported to Lin Fan with a look of reverence. For them, today was simply way too pleasurable of a day. Rob, just like that, they robbed a few races in succession. Whomsoever they met with, they threw every single bit of caution to the winds and pounced out like ferocious tigers. Rob completely, strip completely, leave them with absolutely nothing. Lin Fan was pleased with the results of today's battle. This time around, even if the old Master Thunder were to jump into the Yellow River, he would not be able to wash off this allegation from himself. At this moment, the disciples of the crocodile race looked at Lin Fan in fright. They could not believe that the Thunder race would dare to do something as such. At the same time, these guys had even insulted their master. Let's go. Without lingering any further, Lin Fan brought the masses with him away. 2 days later, Lin Fan stood in the void with the disciples of the Thunder race all grinning from ear to ear. They did not know just how many races they had robbed in these past 2 days. In any case, it was just a lot. And right now, their wealth had already reached an astounding state that was absolutely incredible. Shing, right at this moment, the bloodline of the Thunder race within Lin Fan's body began to rumble. From a dimension far from the beyond, it seemed as though there was a mysterious power that was beckoning out to him. Chapter 924, The Mass Battle Starts. Chapter 924, The Mass Battle Starts. A summoning like this was something that came from the deepest levels of the bloodline. And, the source of it was naturally the old master. This was so damned messed up. To think that he would actually encounter with this instant summoning technique after switching his bloodline to that of the Thunder race. Have you guys ever experienced the summoning of the bloodline? Most of the disciples of the disciplinary hall were thoroughly trusting of Lin Fan right now. Under this scheme of robbing everyone cleanly, they had turned from paupers to tycoons in the blink of an eye. The moment he struck out, everyone had something to gain from it. Compared to the past, there was simply a world of a difference. Nopes, what's summoning of the bloodline? I've never heard of it before. All of these disciples shook their heads. Some of them had never even heard of it before. Looking at the expressions on the faces of these disciples, Lin Fan doubted that they were deceiving him. Perhaps, they truly did not know anything about it. For a moment or so, Lin Fan was truly caught at a loss for what to do. Could it be that the old Master Thunder had discovered something about him? Was he thinking of killing him? But, that shouldn't be the case either, right? If he were truly discovered, the old Master Thunder would have appeared right before his face instantly and taken him down. Why would he choose to go with such a roundabout method? Could there be something big that was happening instead? What are you still waiting for? Just as Lin Fan was still in the midst of contemplating, a thundering voice boomed out from deep within Lin Fan's bloodline. It was as though if he didn't return the call, there was a high chance the bloodline would just rupture out from within to cripple him instantly. Such a vicious method. Could this old Master Thunder truly control the life and death of every single Thunder race being? But thankfully, there's no utmost powerful being within the human race. Otherwise, the fate of my life would end up being in the control of someone else's hands. Lin Fan did not hesitate anymore. No matter what would happen, he would have to face it anyway. Furthermore, this old Master Thunder might not know that he was actually a human. As the saying went, if the soldiers come by, fight them. If the flood comes by the dam, block it. He'd just go and see what was there to deal with, and handle it as it came. All of you head back first. The old master is summoning me, Lin Fan said before following the call of the bloodline and diving into the void. The disciples of the disciplinary hall exchanged glances with one another. For a moment or so, they hadn't registered the sudden news just yet. But, by the time they snapped to their senses, the hall master had already left. The summoning of the bloodline tore through the restrictions of time and space. When Lin Fan opened his eyes, he saw how his surroundings were flowing swiftly with the shining gleam of a galactic river. In the blink of an eye, the entire world collapsed over as the scenery before his eyes changed once more. This place. For Lin Fan, this was a place that was ever so familiar. When he caught sight of the figure that was standing tall between the world far up in the distance, his heart could not help but skip a beat. Great Sage. Lin Fan was taken aback, feeling that there was something wrong with this situation. But, when he turned his head around to look, he saw the old Master Thunder standing up in the void. He was looking at the Great Sage, who was surrounded by many utmost powerful beings at the moment with a sharp gaze. Just what in the world was going on right now? Lin Fan turned his head around and realized that the Holy Master of the Holy Thunder Hall was summoned over as well, along with other hall masters of the various halls. The old Master Thunder, the drought demonic god of the ancient race, the old master of the bat race. Monkey, hand over the unrivaled heaven dueling mystic technique you have. Otherwise, we're going to trample the entire monkey race flat. The old Master Thunder scolded out harshly. This unrivaled heaven dueling mystic technique was a legendary item that descended from the heavens in an era a long time ago. This mystic skill that the Great Sage had obtained could be considered as one of the strongest mystic skills of all. And, now that this era was the final era, all of these old masters from the different races, in fact, even the demonic gods of the ancient race, had started fighting for their own survival. The Great Sage had no faction and chose to side with neither the utmost powerful beings nor the demonic gods, choosing to be all alone. And, that was precisely the reason why he was being targeted right now. In the previous eras, no one wanted to come and ruffle the feathers of this mad ape. But, now that this was the final era, if they did not have the power to transcend through it, they would just vanish away like smoke. At this moment, the Great Sage was floating above in the void, and did not say anything at all. However, those eyes of his were burning with blazing fury. When he looked at those beings of his race that he had wanted to protect so direly being left dead and injured all over the place, his heart was filled with anguish. Old Master Thunder, Old Master of the Bat Race, Old Master of the Rain Dragons, Old Master devouring heavens. All of you damned B***stards. I've never ever fought with you guys for anything. If you guys had wanted the unrivaled heaven dueling mystic technique, I could have given it to you guys. But, you should have never **king ever touched or killed any beings from my race. Even if I'm going to fall here today, I'll have all of you follow me to death. The Great Sage howled out in fury as a berserk power rumbled forth from him, causing the entire world to quake in the face of it. Back in the past, we've all fought to take down the demonic gods of the ancient race. And now that it's a matter of life and death, you guys are working together with the ancient race demonic gods. How shameless. When Lin Fan caught sight of everything before him, he understood what was going on within his heart. However, the situation did not seem too favorable right now. If it came down to a head-on fight, there was practically no chance of living at all. 4 utmost powerful beings together with a demonic god of the ancient race. This was an exceptionally formidable force. Even if his own physical body state was that of an immemorial ancient full cultivation state, he might not be able to get through their hands that easily. Old Master Thunder, what are we still wasting our breath on him for? Let us join hands and take him down entirely. We'll then deploy a soul-searching mystic skill to retrieve that unrivaled heaven-dueling mystic technique. The voice of the old master of the bat race was shrill and sharp as he remained hidden under his black robes the entire time. The old Master Thunder looked at the Great Sage with a cold glare. He then waved out with his hand, "Kill every single being from the monkey race." "Yes, old master," all the hall masters of the hundreds of other halls roared out in reply. They then turned into streaks of light that dove right for the monkey race. There was no lack of powerful beings within the monkey race. However, in the face of this vast and formidable force, they really stood no chance at all. "Great Sage, save me." A series of tragic wails rang out. The eyes of the Great Sage were bloodshot right now as he snarled and bared his sharp spiky canines. "You guys are looking to die. Monkey, we're your opponents." The old Master Thunder blared out and together with the 4 utmost powerful beings, surrounded the Great Sage in a flash. Boom. With that, the battle erupted out. Being assaulted on all fronts by the 5 utmost powerful beings, he did not have the chance to get distracted. Lin Fan dove into the crowd. For a moment or so, his heart was in a fluster as well. What should he do? What should he do right now? If he couldn't think up of any other way about this was basically just the end for them. Thunder Race, go to hell. Just as Lin Fan was contemplating about this, a being from the monkey race bolted out at Lin Fan with a killing intent. Lin Fan clenched his teeth. With the way the situation was right now, any person he saved was a single person more who could be kept alive. Lin Fan mixed in with the crowd and punched out with his fist. However, that fist sent the being of the monkey race into his paradise. Even if I die, the Great Sage is going to avenge me. Right now, there was another being of the monkey race that was being pinned down onto the ground by some hall master from God knows what hall. His face was cruel as he was about to land the killing blow. But all of a sudden, Lin Fan appeared in a flash and yelled out, "I'll kill this one." Lin Fan punched out with his fist and sent the living being of the monkey race into his paradise instantly. When the hall master saw that his prey had been snatched, his heart burnt with rage instantly. But, when he caught sight of that face, he froze up before smiling immediately after. Good one, hall master Lei. The scene of Lin Fan taking down the previous hall master harshly was something that was witnessed by everyone. How would they dare to offend him? Leave all these monkeys here to me. None of you shall interfere. Lin Fan shouted and ordered out before darting around to begin rescuing these living beings of the monkey race. However, the area of the battle was simply way too huge that Lin Fan could not cover it entirely. But, for Lin Fan right now, anyone he saved would be one extra he would be able to keep alive. He was really giving it his best. Chapter 925, and everything turns chaotic. Chapter 925, and everything turns chaotic. The strength of the great sage is extraordinary indeed. Even up against the 5 of us, you are still be able to handle it with ease. But, it's a pity the same can't be said for others of your race. The old master of the bat race was extremely sinister, and knew how to attack the mental psyche of his opponents. It was especially crucial at a moment like this where they could not take down this monkey even with the combined forces of 5 of them just yet. This was something that was causing them to feel a little troubled. The metal cudgel in the hands of that monkey was a legendary item with an unrivaled might. The battle power that burst forth from it was more horrifying than anything else. If it were a one-on-one fight, they might truly not be a match for him. But right now, it was 5-on-1. No matter who it was, the opponent would have to just lie down obediently. November LBJNN. The heart of the great sage was burning with anger. When he turned around and looked at those of his fellow race, that firm and resolute spirit of his began to tremble. Die, the great sage howled out in an anguished manner, all of you F***CKINGB** stards. Go and die. At this moment, the arms of the great sage swelled up as that metal cudgel of his shone with an infinite brightness. The light beam pierced up into the heavens. With that single move, the entire world toppled over. Old Master Thunder, it's time. The old master of the bat race said coldly. Yes, bam, that cudgel struck down. 4 utmost powerful beings exchanged glances with one another as they defended against that strike. And right at this moment, the old Master Thunder transformed into a god thunderbolt that appeared right behind the great sage suddenly. Slapping out with both his palms, a boundless power of thunder burst forth ferociously. Monkey, it's over. The great sage gritted his canines and turned around as his entire body shuddered in the face of this devastating power that was cruising through his entire body. This was the old Master Thunder's attack that came with all of his power. Even if it were an utmost powerful being, they would not be able to defend against this. Ha ha ha, the old Master Thunder roared out in laughter. He seemed deranged right now. Just as the old Master Thunder was about to capitalize on this advantage and take down the great sage entirely, a series of powers descended down from the void. Old Master Thunder, how dare you bully my race? Darkness descended as the 16 pairs of Lucifer's wings covered the entire sky. An unparalleled godly glow shone down on the entire world. Old Master Thunder was stunned for a moment, not understanding what was happening. He had been discussing with these few utmost powerful beings about how to take down the monkey race for a long time now. Since when had he ever gone to bully anyone else? Old Master Thunder, if you don't give me an answer for it today, my crocodile race will definitely not let you off at all. And right at this moment, a crocodile that spanned up to 100 million feet in length appeared in the void. Its 4 limbs were just like heaven-piercing pillars that ripped through the void and appeared in the world. For a moment, the old Master Thunder was truly caught at a loss and was frozen. What's going on? Just what does this old master of the crocodile race want me to account for? When Lin Fan caught sight of what was going on at this moment, his heart leapt with joy. To think that he would have done such a good deed. Initially, he had only intended for the old Master Thunder to endure a group assault by the others. But, to think that right when the monkey race was experiencing this ordeal right now, the appearance of these 2 races would just be akin to lifelines. However, Lin Fan remembered that he had bullied quite a number of races. Why were there only 2 that had arrived right now? If all of them were to come, it would definitely be lively. Lucifer, old Master Crocodile, what's the meaning of this? Since when has your old master here ever offended you guys? Right now, the old Master Thunder was truly stumped. To think that these fellas would spout right out of nowhere. If he didn't settle this properly, it might lead to yet another great battle instead. If it were any other time, the old Master Thunder would definitely have ignored them. If they wanted to fight, then they might as well come at him. Who was afraid of whom? But this was a different situation. Right now, he was in the midst of taking down this monkey. If any hiccups were to occur and this monkey were to give them the slip, all their efforts would have gone to waste, and the outcome would be unimaginable. HMPH, Old Master Thunder, how about you take a look at what this is? At this moment, Lucifer swept his robes as a bright burst of light flashed out. This was an image that was conjured with his powers that displayed everything that had happened. When Lin Fan caught sight of the image, he was stumped as well. This bloody did not make any sense at all. When in the world did those birdmen record him down? This was somewhat terrifying now. Within the image, Lin Fan stormed into the midst of the Wings race and engaged in his robbery. The disciples of the Wings race were extremely pitiful as they were robbed stark naked from head to toe. And when the portion of Lin Fan's speech came about, Lucifer's face was even darker. Your Wings race's old master is nothing but a birdman. One day, we're going to roast your old master into a birdman. ... Every single word that Lin Fan had produced was beyond tyrannical. Old Master Thunder, what else do you have to say for yourself? Do you really think that I, Lucifer, am a pushover? The heart of Lucifer was burning with rage right now as he could not bear to rip the Old Master Thunder into shreds. When the Old Master Thunder caught sight of this image, he was confounded as well. Bloody hell, since when had your old master said something like that? When he looked at that face in the image, his entire face burnt with an endless rage. Laming, get the hell over for your old master. Right now, the Old Master Thunder was completely enraged. This bloody cock of a descendant. To think that he would cause such trouble for your old master. Since when had your old master ever said something like this? Lin Fan's heart skipped a beat. With that roar of the Old Master Thunder, the bloodline of the Thunder race within his body rumbled. If he were to use that bit more strength, it was as though this bloodline could just explode at any time. Oh old master, Lin Fan acted as though he was slightly startled as he hurried over. You tell them, since when had your old master said such words? Also, why did you do something as such to the Wings race and the Crocodile race? If you dare to even speak of a single bit of lie, your old master is going to peel your skin right off. The voice of the Old Master Thunder was harsh right now as he could not bear to pinch this laming right to death. This bloody fella that did more harm than help. Damned lad, Lucifer sized up Lin Fan as his eyes shone with an endless killing intent. However, he bore with it for the moment. He wanted to see just what in the world was up with this as well. When Lin Fan checked out the situation right now, his mind started whirling. He then continued, Old Master, these were the orders that you gave me. You said that both the Wings race and the Crocodile race are disgusting races. This was especially the case for the Wings race's Old Master Lucifer, who had 16 pairs of wings. That's just a complete birdman. And the shape of that Old Master Crocodile looks extremely hideous to the point of it being nauseating to even look at him. That's why your underling, I, chose to commit such acts. Bullshit, I think you're just looking to die. The Old Master Thunder was enraged as he roared out, sending a formidable force slamming over. Lin Fan's sharp mind thought for a moment as he puked out a mouthful of old blood. His eyes were filled with fright. Old Master, I've always been loyal to you with all my heart. Why are you doing this to me? When the other hall masters of the various halls caught sight of this, their hearts leapt with joy. This was especially the case for Lei Quanglong, who was mixed in with the crowd. He gave off a sinister smirk. I reckon that you won't know when to give up until you see your coffin. Today, your old master is going to rip your body apart. The Old Master Thunder roared out with a torrential aura as God punishment thunderbolts swarmed out across the entire sky. They were like pythons that were coiling around the entire heavens. When Lin Fan caught sight of this, his entire face was alarmed as he screamed out tragically, Bat Ancestor, save me. Please don't kill me, Old Master. I'll confess, everything was because I was instructed by the Bat Ancestor and the Old Master devouring heavens. Old Master Thunder, who was just about to kill Lin Fan, froze up for a moment. But, the Bat Ancestor and the Old Master devouring heavens were even more stunned. Their hearts burned with wrath as they roared out, B***T. How dare you speak nonsense? Courting death. All of a sudden, the Old Master devouring heavens opened his mouth wide and tried devouring the entire world. It was as though he wanted to devour Lin Fan with that single mouthful. But, the face of the Old Master Thunder changed as he blocked off the attack of the Old Master devouring heavens. He then glared straight at Lin Fan. You tell me. Just what is going on right now? All of a sudden, the tension of the entire place seemed to have changed altogether. But for Lin Fan, this was a Mother Sea King magical feeling. To think that this mess that he had created could have caused the situation right now to turn even more chaotic. Chapter 926, Peaches and Bananas. Chapter 926, Peaches and Bananas. Old Master Thunder, you must not listen to his one-sided stories. We're of the same alliance. The old master of the bat race tried explaining hurriedly. The situation that had just happened was something out of his expectations. This guy was just biting at everyone randomly. Your ancestor did not even know him at all. Your demonic god wishes to know just what in the world is up with this as well. The eyes of the drought demonic god shone with a glint. Lin Fan gulped down his saliva before looking over at the old Master Thunder. Old Master, if I say it out, will you let me live? HMPH. Do you still think that you're a spot for bargaining even at this point? The old Master Thunder barked out angrily, but, don't you worry. As long as you tell everything as it is honestly, your ancestor can let bygones be bygones. Towards this lambing before him, the old Master Thunder was already forming some sort of an idea about the situation in his mind. This kid had been enduring silently among the unaffiliated disciples for a long time now and was totally insignificant. But all of a sudden, he caused an uproar and defeated Lei Quanglong. That Lei Quanglong was someone who had the Thunder City that he had given off as a reward personally. Unless it was other utmost powerful beings, who else would be able to take down the Thunder City with such ease? Therefore, other than receiving the empowerment of the other utmost powerful beings, there was definitely no way his cultivation state could have risen so quickly. Putting everything that had happened before together, the old Master Thunder was able to determine that there must have been some secret behind all of this. Lin Fan lowered his head and stole a glance at the Great Sage. Right now, the wounds on the body of the Great Sage were severe. It was evident that receiving that strike of the old Master Thunder from earlier on had done an impossibly huge amount of damage to him. N.O.V.L.B. in .C. Ohm. If the fight were to carry on, he would be left with only death. Old Master, the Bat Ancestor and the Old Master Devouring Heavens had looked for me and empowered me so that I could remain hidden within the Thunder Sect. They then had me fight for the seat of the Hall Master of the Disciplinary Hall so that I could bring the disciples out to bully the other races. Back then, your disciple here had not understood what was going on. But right now, your disciple understands. Seems like Old Master, you were intending to come with them to take down the monkey race. But, at that critical moment, you were targeted by the Old Master of the Wings race and the Old Master of the Crocodile race. From there on, you'll lose out in the fight for the unrivaled Dueling Heavens mystic technique. Lin Fan said everything out obediently and honestly. Even though it was all made up by him, in his opinion, there was a huge possibility of all of those things happening. After Lin Fan was done speaking, the old Master Thunder fell deep into his thoughts. The more he thought about it, the scarier it sounded. At the same time, he was starting to buy into his words. Lad, how dare you sow discord out of nothing? You deserve to die, the old master of the bat race roared out. To think that he would be stabbed in the back by a smelly brat. And, by the looks of the old Master Thunder's face right now, he seemed to be buying into the words of that brat. If anything were to really happen right now, it would be a huge loss for them. The old Master Thunder looked over at the old master of the bat race. Even though there were some doubts in his heart, his expression started to change gradually. However, Lin Fan's words that followed closely after had the old Master Thunder believing in everything he said entirely. Old Master, everything that your disciple here has said is entirely true. The Wings race and our Thunder race are such close friends. If your disciple here had wanted to rob the Wings race, how could I possibly reveal my true identity? Even if you gave me 10 guts, I wouldn't have dared to. Lin Fan yelled out. The old Master Thunder closed his eyes firmly before jerking his head over towards the Bat Ancestor and the old Master Devouring Heavens. At the same time, Lucifer and the old Master Crocodile cast their sights on the old Master Bat and the old Master Devouring Heavens as well. Old Master, your disciple here has already told you everything as it was without lying at all. Please spare my life, Old Master. Lin Fan begged out. HMPH. Betraying your ancestor leaves you with only a single word for your outcome. Death. The old master looked at Lin Fan with a sharp gaze. He then flicked his finger, causing a surge of power to erupt forth from Lin Fan's bloodline. Arg! Lin Fan screamed out loudly before the bloodline of the Thunder race within his body vibrated and ruptured out, leaving him deader than he could have ever been. Holy FCK! The old Master Thunder is really able to kill the living beings of the Thunder race with just their bloodline alone. Lin Fan laid there motionlessly. This situation was simply way too heaven revolting. Thankfully, yours truly wasn't someone of the Thunder race. Otherwise, he would truly have been left for dead this time around. But, the situation right now hadn't taken a turn for the better just yet. He had to think up of a way to escape with the great sage no matter what. Old Master Thunder, you'd rather believe in the words of an ant than us. The old Master Bat was enraged right now. This was clearly a good thing that was going on for them. To think that they would have discord sown within them by an ant. Damn it, god damn it, old Master Bat, old Master Devouring Heavens. You guys have really gone overboard this time around. The old Master Thunder roared out with an endless fury burning in his heart. If not for the fact that Lucifer and the old Master Crocodile had come earlier on, the outcome would have been unimaginable. It was just as Lei Ming had said. Even if he had 10 guts, he wouldn't have dared to act so brazenly unless there was someone manipulating the events from behind the scenes. Old Master Thunder, Drought Demonic God, and Old Master Water Dragon, how about we discuss this matter after we take down the monkey? Old Master Devouring Heavens, let's strike. Right now, the wounds of the great sage were severe. The old Master Bat naturally could not give up on this chance so easily. No matter what, he would have to take down the monkey for real. Bullshit, even if your ancestor has to let this monkey off today, I'll have you guys pay the price. The old Master Thunder roared out as he bolted up ahead to stand in their way. Old Master Bat, Old Master Devouring Heavens. You guys are ambitious, aren't you? How dare you try to make your ancestor here act as your gun? If I don't let you guys know of my might today, who knows if you guys may even decide to take a dump straight on my head in the future. Lucifer bellowed out and struck out instantly as well. Holy FCK, when the old Master Bat and the old Master Devouring Heavens caught sight of everything before them right now, they cursed out at their mothers instantly. To think that that Mother Sea King Dog's tea had seriously dug a pit for them. Are you guys stupid or what? To think that you would even believe a provocation of this sort. The old Master Bat hollered out. He hadn't expected for the intelligence of these old masters to be so low that they would even believe bullshit like that. When the various hall masters of the different halls caught sight of this, they were frozen for a moment as well. Was this FC King kidding them? Everything was just fine moments earlier. But now, everyone was getting into a huge fight. Wasn't this too damn surreal? After Lin Fan pretended to be dead, he could sense the situation unfolding around him. Right now, these utmost powerful beings weren't paying him any attention at all as he just entered stealth mode immediately. He then came to the side of the Great Sage sneakily. Great Sage, don't strike. It's me, Peaches and Bananas, Lin Fan hurriedly said. The face of the Great Sage focused up. This was especially the case when he heard about the peaches and bananas. Those were things that he could never forget in his lifetime. Great Sage, this place isn't somewhere we should linger any longer. Let us hurry and make our leave, Lin Fan said. No, I'm not leaving. I'm going to seek vengeance for my race, the Great Sage replied. The moment Lin Fan heard this, he nearly exploded out. Vengeance your mother, to think that he would be thinking about vengeance even at this moment. How many lives did he think he had? By the time these guys came to their senses, things might already be too late by then. Great Sage, with your current state, it's impossible for you to seek revenge. The only path awaiting you here is death, Lin Fan advised. Furthermore, I've saved the majority of the monkey race. If you were to die now, what's going to happen to those of the monkey race that are still alive? Damn it, I had chosen not to engage in secular affairs for the sake of the safety of the monkey race. To think that things would turn out like this. The heart of the Great Sage was infuriated. There were countless of beings from the monkey race that were either injured or dead. This was a vengeance he couldn't let off just like that. Chapter 927, How did they turn into degenerates? Chapter 927, How did they turn into degenerates? Great Sage, now is not the time to be acting recklessly. If we don't leave right now, by the time they come back to their senses, it will truly be too late, Lin Fan urged. Given the current situation, even though the state of affairs might have changed, it also meant that there was an added sense of danger shortly. If he were to be discovered that he was from the human race, even Lucifer and the others would surround and group on them. By then, it would be truly troublesome. While his physical body state might be pretty invincible, under the massive assault of the many utmost powerful beings present, it might really turn serious. While he might not be in direct danger of losing his life, things would be definitely bad if they joined forces to seal him up. You can leave first, Help me to take good care of my people from the monkey race. If the situation goes to the worst, you can allow them to fend for themselves and leave them alone. This old monkey will definitely not bear a grudge towards you. At this moment, the eyes of the great sage burst forth with a bedazzling gleam as though he was bent on fighting with them to the end of his life. Lin Fan was speechless right now. Bloody hell, why did he have to be so inflexible? Didn't he know the meaning of, where there's life, there's hope? If he were to carry on this way, the only thing awaiting him was definitely death. The Lin Fan of this moment wished he could just give the great sage one good kick to the ground so that he would know the meaning of enduring for the moment to ensure the peace so that he could plan for the future later on. If he were to get stubborn and insist on taking that step forward, he would definitely just vanish like dust. He wouldn't even have a single scrap left to him. At this moment, Lei Quanglong and the others were completely astounded by the fight that was taking place amongst the old masters right now. Everything had happened way too suddenly. To think that these various utmost powerful beings who were getting along just nicely moments earlier were now all killing at one another as though there was some grudge between them. However, for Lei Quanglong, none of that mattered much. For him, the most important was that Lei Ming. The humiliation that Lei Ming caused him was something that he would never forget in this entire life. If not for that fella, he would not have lost all his face in front of that huge crowd back then. And now that that fella had been killed by the old master, Lei Quanglong was naturally overwhelmed with joy. Even if that guy was dead, he was not going to let him have a good time. Right now, Lei Quanglong was thinking about bringing Lei Ming's corpse back with him so that he could give it a good whipping back in the sect. At the same time, he was going to turn him into a ghost puppet so that he could serve as his dog for all eternity. But, when Lei Quanglong turned his sight towards the corpse of Lei Ming, he realized that he had disappeared entirely all of a sudden. Lei Quanglong felt his heart skip a beat as though something had just happened. Thereafter, he searched left and right furiously. However, he still couldn't find Lei Ming's corpse. At this moment, Lei Quanglong yelped out as though he had just discovered something outrageous. Old master, you have all been deceived. The corpse of that fella, Lei Ming, is gone. Lei Quanglong howled out and reported this matter to the old master. November LBJNN. The face of the old master bat who was in the midst of suppressing the old master thunder took a stark change as he cast his sight at the place where Lei Ming's corpse was. But, when he looked over, he realized in astonishment that it was gone. Old Master Thunder, your ancestor has already said this. That is nothing but mere instigation. The old master bat roared out. Lin Fan, who was still in the midst of persuading the great sage, exploded when he heard these words. Mother Fasterisk C King Hell. He had been discovered. Great sage, you just leave first. Don't bother about me, the great sage replied firmly. FC King Hell, just lie down first. Lin Fan was panicking right now. Throwing all caution to the wind, he slapped the great sage to faint over with a single brick before throwing him into his paradise. Bloody hell, it was too damned difficult persuading this guy. It'd be more convenient to just slam him into fainting with a single brick first. Lei Ming, when the old Master Thunder caught sight of that figure that had appeared out of the void from his stealth mode, he hollered out. Lei your mother, go play with your own balls. Lin Fan shouted back and sprinted off into a run. These utmost powerful beings were no jokes. If they were to truly fight with him, he would be in for a tough time. Lucifer and the others were stunned as though they were just dumbfounded by everything that was happening right before them. They still hadn't understood just what in the world was happening yet. Guys, take a look. All of this was a part of the lad's plan. We've all been fooled. He has even rescued that monkey. The old master bat roared out. In order to take down the great sage, they had discussed and planned for a long time now. But right now, none of that mattered at all. Chase, the old master bat bellowed out as he flapped those demonic wings of his. All of a sudden, he turned into a long streak of light that bolted off, chasing after Lin Fan. At this moment, the old Master Thunder came to a realization as well as he roared out. He hadn't expected that he would have been fooled. Damn it, god damn it, Lin Fan felt that the situation that was going on right now was way too intense. With a bunch of utmost powerful beings chasing after him relentlessly, they were just coming straight for his life. When Lin Fan turned around, he realized that those utmost powerful beings were hot on his heels in pursuit. There was no way to shrug them off at all. What to do? Just what should I do so that I can shrug these guys off my A*S? At this moment, Lin Fan's mind went into a whirl as he thought up of all he could. But, for a moment or so, he just couldn't come up with anything at all. 10 days later, Lin Fan had leapt through several worlds by now and was just thinking of all sorts of methods to get these guys off his back. But, it was as though these guys were on drugs and were just bent on chewing him down. There was no getting away from them. In the past 10 days, Lin Fan had been bombarded by these utmost powerful beings for God knows how many times. If not for the fact that his physical body state was quite something, he would have long been blown apart by this bunch of fellas. Just at this moment, Lin Fan's eyes sparkled. He had caught sight of a world up ahead that was filled with a peaceful aura. It was surrounded by a beauteous nature with birds chirping and the amazing scent of flora. This looked just like a paradise on earth. At this moment within that world, there were two figures that were bathing in a white pool within. The white pool gave off a rainbow-colored mist. Big Sister Jade Pool, this universal god water is some good stuff indeed. Taking a bath in this every now and then has really gotten my complexion much better. There was a girl with 9 silver furry tails on her back. This woman was none other than the old mistress of the fox race. Even though she looked breathtaking from the surface, she was an old monster that had already lived for countless of eras. And this Big Sister Jade Pool was the old mother of the Jade Pool. Amongst the utmost powerful beings, she was one of the very few females. That's only natural, little sister Daji, you should come over to your big sister's place over here more often. The old mother Jade Pool chuckled out while saying. That curvy figure of hers hidden within the pool was faintly discernible. It was extremely alluring to look at indeed. And just at this moment, an aura bolted over all of a sudden. The faces of the both of them changed. Lin Fan crossed through the void and whistled out in a high cheery tone, wow. Beauties, we're here for a tour, hee hee. Degenerate, when the two women caught sight of Lin Fan, their faces changed. In a flash, they draped their clothes over their bodies. Old Master Thunder, Old Master Bat, Old Master Devouring Heavens. I caught a peep, you guys hurry and head over too. Lin Fan's eyes shone with a sharp glint. Whether or not he could escape would depend on this now. When the old mother Jade Pool and the old mistress Fox heard these words, they both of them froze up and turned around into the void. Indeed, there were several other utmost powerful beings that were coming through after this degenerate. Brazen, how dare you bunch of degenerates trespass into these sacred grounds? ... At this moment, Old Master Thunder and the others were almost dying out of rage. This damned fella was running faster than any of them. For a moment or so, they truly could not catch up with him at all. But just at this moment, two figures appeared right before their faces. Momentarily, the face of Old Master Thunder broke into a glee. Both of you, would you mind helping us hold off that fella? But all of a sudden, something that startled the Old Master Thunder and the others happened. The old mother Jade Pool and old Mistress Fox had struck down at them immediately right in their faces. Degenerates. The old Master Thunder was taken aback as he yelped out in his heart. How did they turn into degenerates? Chapter 928. Even beauties are to be whacked. Chapter 928. Even beauties are to be whacked. Old Mother Jade Pool, Old Mistress Fox. This is all a misunderstanding. That fella up ahead is the real degenerate. The old Master Thunder tried explaining hurriedly. HMPH. It's not as though we're blind. For both the old Mother Jade Pool and the old Mistress Fox, there was no way they would believe such dishonest words of accusations. The old Master Thunder and the other utmost powerful beings were stumped at this moment as well. If it were anyone else, they would have long taken them down. However, the old Mother Jade Pool and the old Mistress Fox were one of the few female utmost powerful beings. Therefore, they were the targets of affection of quite a number of other utmost powerful beings. If they were to make any brash move by attacking them, the consequences might be dire. Haha, old Master Thunder, shouldn't you take a good look at who yours truly is right now? Lin Fan removed the imposter mask and revealed his true face. When the many utmost powerful beings around turned their heads over, they were all stumped. Mother *C King Human King. Ha ha ha, you bunch of dumb *CKS. Lin Fan burst out laughing wildly before disappearing into the void entirely. This time around, it was all thanks to these two chicks. If not for the both of them, he might not even have known how to make his escape. But, in order to not let the utmost powerful beings catch up to him, Lin Fan made use of the ancient saint's sacrificial altar and made multiple jumps across dozens of worlds repeatedly. Given Lin Fan's current strength and powers, even if he wanted to make a complete circle around all of the thousands of worlds, it would be something extremely easy as well. This world here is pretty decent with a fortuitous aura. Everything seems peaceful, and there don't seem to be any dangers lurking within. After jumping across dozens of worlds, Lin Fan finally settled down on a single one. There were various cities in this world similar to the Xuanwang world of the past, where those of royalty ruled over the commoners, but everything was still eventually ruled over by sects. Ever since the fusion of the infinite worlds, the lower worlds of the thousands of races had fused in as well. While there were changes for those living beings who had yet to ascend up, these changes were not that great altogether. It was just that the spirit chi in the air has become denser than ever, and the radius of the world had grown larger. At the same time, they were meeting up with many different races they had never seen before. At a hidden spot somewhere, Lin Fan started changing his appearance once more. If he did not do so and was discovered by an utmost powerful being, that would undoubtedly be a tragedy. Solitary Heaven City. Lin Fan walked through an alley with extremely subtlety and did not draw any attention to himself at all. In the eyes of anyone else, he was but a mere living being. This was a place filled with life, and there were neither wars nor conflicts. There were majestic walls that pierced straight into the clouds from all directions of the city that caged it up. On those majestic walls were countless mysterious runic symbols that were inscribed. When these runes were connected to one another, they gave off a mystifying power. This power was something that came from an utmost powerful being. If any danger were to arise, they could activate the runes on the walls and turn it into an extremely strong defensive barrier. The reason why Lin Fan chose to hide here was mainly so that he could help the great sage heal up his wounds. That single palm strike of the old Master Thunder brought with it an unbridled destructive power of thunder. Even though the great sage was an utmost powerful being as well, he had no way of purging out the power that was within his body right away. To think that even the life force of the mythical parasol tree would be ineffective. Seemed like everything would have to depend on the great sage himself then. Even though Lin Fan had an utmost powerful being by his side, the great sage was wounded severely. Therefore, he did not want to roam around too much either. That could wait till the great sage had recovered from his wounds. That would definitely give him much more assurance. However, even up till now, Lin Fan did not know what those utmost powerful beings were up to. This current era was the final one, which was something that Lin Fan knew. However, why in the world were these utmost powerful beings fighting one another to death? What was all of that for? Once the great sage had fully recovered, Lin Fan would have to ask him properly. Get lost, get lost. At this moment, a carriage was rushing over from the distance. Interestingly, the carriage was being pulled by an ancient beast, one that had an extraordinary cultivation state of divine celestial level 1 to boot. Naturally, given Lin Fan's current cultivation state, he couldn't care less about cultivation states as such. However, if this were from the perspective of the city, the fact that a carriage could have a divine celestial level 1 state ancient beast pulling it along was something that was pretty startling. There was a flag sticking up from the carriage. For the residents of the solitary Heaven City, that flag was something they could not be more familiar with. The carriage rampaged through its way. However, none of the residents dared to voice out any dissent. That was the flag of the solitary Heaven City's Shang family after all. At this moment, the woman who was controlling this ancient beast at the front of the carriage bore a haughty expression on her face as she wielded a long whip in her hands that was leashed onto the body of this ancient beast. That whip should be a treasure or something. Each time it was whipped onto the body of that ancient beast, it would wail out tragically as though it was extremely painful. Little fella, make way. All the bystanders started shouting out at Lin Fan frantically. When he turned around and caught sight of the carriage, his brows furrowed. This chick was pretty domineering, wasn't she? At this moment, there was a woman who was seated within the carriage that was being pulled along. She was totally indifferent towards everything as though she was long used to it. Peasant, scram, the woman who was taming the ancient beast barked out at Lin Fan. At this moment, Lin Fan was giddily happy. Even though he was currently avoiding the hunt of the utmost powerful beings, the fact that someone within a small city as such would dare to act so toughly before him was something that he could not tolerate at all. As the bystanders were witnessing how this young man before them was about to be knocked down by that oncoming ancient beast, something shocking happened. Lin Fan chuckled out before throwing out a punch that landed squarely on the body of that ancient beast. Bam! Everything overturned as a tremendous power erupted forth. The ancient beast was exploded into tons of pieces while the carriage was sent flipping in the air. With a loud crash, it landed somewhere in the distance before rolling for a few rounds and crumbling into debris. November LBJNN. As for the woman who was whipping the ancient beast, she fell onto the ground and spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. The woman who was in the carriage had evidently not expected for something like this to happen at all. For a moment, she was stumped and looked entirely wretched. As for all the surrounding bystanders, they were completely stupefied. This was the carriage of the Shang family. And that woman in the carriage seemed to be the Missy of the Shang family. Now that this young man had sent the entire carriage flipping over and destroyed with that single punch of his, this was naturally going to be something big. What in the world is this? Lin Fan asked in contempt. Meeting with such a situation was something that he did not have to endure at all. Who in the world cared who the other party was? Even if she were an alluring beauty, he would whack her up all the same. No matter what, Lin Fan was also a powerful being. There was no way powerful beings could ever tolerate the insolent attitude of their puny juniors. Weren't these people just bloody courting death? Lin Fan tossed his head and continued walking towards the city, totally unbothered by everything that had just happened. The Missy who was within the carriage bore a frosty expression on her face. Arranging her clothes, she looked at her maid who was spitting blood on the ground. "Stay right there," Shang Qingcheng roared out as her eyes shone with rage. However, the thing that had Shang Qingcheng even angrier than anything else was the fact that the other party had just continued walking forward. "Dog's tea, you had better stand right there. Pishu." A long streak of light bolted through the void as Shang Qingcheng's fingers took on the shape of a claw and reached out to grab Lin Fan's head. There was truly no one in the solitary Heaven's City who would dare to stand up against her Shang family. When Lin Fan sensed the vibrations that were coming forth behind his back, he scoffed coldly and flipped around. Without moving his hands, he lifted his leg all the way up before slamming down furiously and crushing down on the shoulders of Shang Qingcheng. Thud, there was no way Shang Qingcheng was a match for Lin Fan as her knees dropped to the ground in a kneeling position immediately. He then followed up by stomping on her face right after. "You have got some mental issues, right?" Trampling on a supremely alluring woman right beneath his feet, Lin Fan was even giving off a look of disdain. At this moment, all the residents around were completely flabbergasted. It was the same for some of the surrounding martial artists who had been out in the world cultivating before. This was the #1 beauty of the entire solitary Heaven's City. She was the goddess in the hearts of countless of men and disciples here. But, to think that this young man before them would actually trample her beneath his feet. This was a scene that shocked the bejabbers out of way too many people around here. Chapter 929, Residence. Chapter 929, Residence. Shang Qingcheng was totally stumped right now. She hadn't expected that she would actually be stomped on the face by someone one day. And furthermore, in front of such a crowd. Some of the surrounding men were enraged at this moment. While they were irked off by the behavior of the Shang family as well, the fact that the #1 beauty in the entire solitary Heaven's City was being trampled upon by someone's feet was something that invoked the warrior's heart in them to want to save the damsel in distress. But, when they thought about how a single punch from the other party had caused the divine celestial level 1 state ancient beast to explode, their hearts started shivering in fear. In their eyes, that was something that was simply way too horrifying. B****, I'm definitely going to kill you. Shang Qingcheng screamed at the top of her lungs. It was as though she had turned into a crazed lioness at this moment. Lin Fan scoffed out. Towards something like this, he wasn't bothered in the least bit. And just as he was prepared to make his leave, an angry roar burst forth from the distance. "Dog's tea, let go of Qingcheng," a young man sped over from the distance. When he caught sight of everything that was happening right now, his heart ached immensely. It was as though something that was beloved to him was being humiliated by others. N-O-V-E-N.C-O-M. When the surrounding crowd caught sight of who it was that had arrived, their hearts skipped a beat. The Crown Prince is here. The young man is probably in for a tragedy right now. It is a known fact throughout the entire solitary Heaven's City that the Crown Prince is chasing after Shang Qingcheng. Now that this man has dared to do something as such to Shang Qingcheng, he has definitely brought on trouble to himself that's tantamount to the heavens. Lin Fan hated trouble the most. The reason why he came into this world was to seek refuge from troubles, and at the same time, think of a way to help the great sage recover his wounds. But, who would have thought that so many things would be happening here right now? This was something that left him entirely speechless. Lin Fan did not want to say anything more as he lifted his feet and continued walking towards the city. When the Crown Prince saw how audaciously this man was behaving, he naturally could not endure it. When the Crown Prince moved his eyes slightly, his guards surrounding him naturally understood his intentions and surrounded Lin Fan in the center. HMPH. Take him down. The cultivation states of these guards weren't weak. They were at least divine celestial level 2 and 3 state beings. Within the solitary Heaven's City, this was a pretty decent strength to possess. But for Lin Fan, they were just like ants. The fact that they were bothering him relentlessly was something that had him feeling annoyed. Moving his eyes slightly as well, a formidable aura burst forth and crushed down on the bodies of these guards. Thud, in the blink of an eye, it was as though the guards had received some severe blow as they all fainted over onto the ground. When the crown prince caught sight of this, he was entirely dumbfounded. He did not know what in the world had just happened. His guards were fine just moments earlier. How did they faint over all of a sudden? You had better not annoy your father. Otherwise, you better bear the consequences yourself. After leaving this warning behind, Lin Fan did not care how terrible the face of the crown prince was as he continued walking in towards the city. These guards had always been around to ensure the safety of the crown prince. But, now that the other party had them lying on the ground without even budging an inch, that was something that had the crown prince feeling astounded. This was especially the case after the gaze that the other party had stared at him with. They were so damned overbearing. It was as though if he had stared any longer, he would even have to prostrate on the ground after. This was something that made no sense to the crown prince at all. After the figure of the other party had disappeared entirely, the crown prince rushed over to Shang Qingcheng hurriedly. "Qingcheng, are you all right?" The heart of the crown prince was pained right now. To think that the woman he had loved so deeply would be trampled down by the feet of others and yet he couldn't offer any help at all. This was something that made him so mad. "Scram!" Shang Qingcheng bellowed out before glaring far into the distance with hatred on her face as she climbed straight up. Disregarding the awkward expression on the face of the crown prince right now, she left the place immediately. At this moment, Lin Fan was faced with yet another troublesome affair. To think that you wouldn't accept Shenyang pills. Having decided to reside here in this city, Lin Fan naturally wanted to buy a shopfront. But, to think that he would meet with an owner who was selling out his shopfront but did not accept Shenyang pills as payment. This was something that had him speechless. "I only want elixirs that can raise my cultivation state." The boss who was selling his shopfront was a middle-aged man. However, his potential was way worse than most normal people. Even after cultivating all this while, he only had the desolate celestial cultivation state. Holding on to such a cultivation state in times like these was so pathetic that one would even feel terrified at the thought of it. Troublesome. Lin Fan felt that this owner was way too stupid. Couldn't he just buy some pills and whatnot with the Shenyang pills as payment? But, the owner's excuse was that if he had so many Shenyang pills with him, it would be easy for others to rob him. Lin Fan instantly tried searching within his storage to see if there were any pills he had left. After all, most of the pills that he had reaped over had basically been popped in by him. Eventually, there was no other choice than for him to cultivate out some pills on the spot. Given his current proficiency in pills cultivation, cultivating out pills was naturally something that was extremely easy for him. This is a pill that can help you to reach divine celestial level 2 state. What do you think of it? Lin Fan took out the pill. When the middle-aged man caught sight of the pill, his heart leapt with joy. How could he hesitate with something like this? Immediately, he signed the papers to hand the deed over and transferred the ownership of the shopfront over to Lin Fan. A fixed asset such as this was only important for mere commoners in a world like this. For powerful beings, this was worth Jack's tea. Any true powerful beings would be able to cause the entire world to be destroyed with just a wave of their palms. Lin Fan took a look at this shopfront. Originally, it was used to sell pills. So, in order to save himself from trouble, he opened it as per usual. However, the pills that he sold were just extremely common pills. He did not sell some wondrous elixirs or the likes lest he attracted unwanted attention. Closing the doors, Lin Fan entered his paradise directly. At this moment, the great sage was floating cross-legged up in the air. "Mother *** Sea King Human King, why did you have to save me?" There were countless rips and tears on the body of the great sage. All of these were caused by that destructive power that was wreaking havoc within his body. For the time being, he could only suppress it. However, he could not purge it out entirely. "Great sage, why are you so insistent? What will happen to your monkey race if you're dead?" Lin Fan asked. "Monkey race? The monkey race doesn't exist anymore. I would have rather fought it out with them at that moment." The expression of the great sage was anguished as a fiery flame of rage blazed out within his heart. "I implore the great sage to follow me to a place then." Lin Fan swept with his robes and the location changed as they arrived at the Xuanwang world. Somewhere in a corner of the Xuanwang world. When those from the monkey race had just arrived here, they were extremely wary at first. But, when they discovered that there weren't any threats around here, they heaved a sigh of relief. When Lin Fan and the great sage arrived, the remaining survivors of the monkey race were exhilarated. At the same time, when the great sage caught sight of his fellow people, his eyes shone with an infinite glow. Great sage, even though I have not managed to save everyone from the monkey race, there is at least half of the monkey race here. If you were to fight it out with those utmost powerful beings, what would happen to these survivors then? Lin Fan asked. The great sage looked at Lin Fan gratefully before nodding his head eventually, my thanks. The great sage had not expected that the monkey race truly would have survived. As long as they were alive, given the passage of time, the monkey race would definitely flourish once more. It's alright, great sage. I've still got many things I wish to find out about from you. There were many questions up in Lin Fan's mind he wanted to get answers about from great sage here. Alright, what do you wish to know? Anything I know, I will definitely tell about it to you. Chapter 930. You've got quite the backbone. Chapter 930. You've got quite the backbone. N-O-V-E in .c Ohm. The Shang family could be considered as one of the top families in the entire Solitary Heaven City. Even though the Solitary Heaven City was ruled by royalty, in this part of the world, power still reigned supreme above all else. The old master of the Shang family was a divine celestial level 10, eternal god state powerful being. Shang Qingcheng's face was dark and grim right now as she kicked the door open in a huff and walked in towards the main hall. All the surrounding underlings bore frightful looks on their faces, they did not know what was wrong with their missy. For her face to look so terrible upon returning. Could something big have happened outside? Qingcheng, what are you doing? Just as Qingcheng was throwing her tantrum, a middle-aged man walked over. He had a thick aura to him along with a sharp gaze. Filled with authority, he bore the full disposition of someone with might. Father, I've been bullied by someone. When Shang Qingcheng saw who it was that had arrived, she broke out into tears immediately. The events of today were something that she wouldn't be able to forget for the rest of her life, and would forever be etched deeply into her heart. To think that she, Shang Qingcheng, would have been bullied by someone and had to endure the humiliation of being stomped on her face. How could she endure something as such? Thereafter, Shang Qingcheng related everything that happened today as it was. When her father, his face shone with bewilderment. Everything sounded extremely outrageous. Within the imperial city, the crown prince had ordered down for everyone to hunt out that man today as well. He felt that he had to regain some image for himself no matter what. After all, someone had created trouble in his territory, and not only that, he had even taken a lashing from the other party. How could the crown prince tolerate this? At this moment, Lin Fan had opened up his shopfront once more. He sat there all alone, however, his thoughts had long flown into the nether reaches. Everything that the great sage had told him had him absolutely astounded. To think that the truth would be as such. For the utmost powerful beings, this era was definitely the last era. No matter who it was, as long as they couldn't transcend through it, they would definitely vanish with the winds. However, how could those utmost powerful beings accept something as such? They had cultivated out all the way till now all for the sake of eternity. But now that they were discovering that this was the final era, how could it not drive them crazy? Woof, woof. Right at this moment, the sounds of a dog barking broke through Lin Fan's train of thoughts. When he raised his head, he saw a barefooted kid who was wearing some tattered clothes and looking at him shyly while tugging a leashed black dog. When he realized that Lin Fan was looking back at him, he broke off into a run. Just what is that strong-looking kid up to? Lin Fan chuckled out, totally unbothered by it. But, to his surprise, it wasn't long before that kid had returned. He was still sneaking around at the sides. When he thought that Lin Fan wasn't noticing, he tried to stretch his hands into the cabinet to grab a bunch of pills. Kid, it's not good to steal something. You've got to rob openly and daringly. Otherwise, you'll lose your disposition as a man. Lin Fan chuckled out. Woof woof. That little black dog snarled and barked out at Lin Fan. But, the moment Lin Fan looked over, he scared the little black dog so badly that it prostrated down on the ground, not daring to move anymore. When he caught sight of this little black dog, a person did come into Lin Fan's mind. Only, he did not know where that 7-Saint-Old dog had run off to by now. That 7-Saint-Old dog had been at odds with Lin Fan for a long time now since they were in the Xuanwang world. Ever since the infinite worlds had opened up, he had followed along sneakily as well. However, Lin Fan did not know where he was right now. He couldn't have been dead, could he? When the little boy realized that he had been discovered, he was scared so badly that the already yellow face of his turned even yellower. He turned around and wanted to run away. But, since Lin Fan was feeling bored right now, he was looking to find some entertainment as well. He then grabbed the boy's collar and hooked him up. Kid, why are you stealing? Batty, let me down. The limbs of that little kid were short and stumpy. How could they possibly reach at Lin Fan? Oh, you're quite domineering. Lin Fan chuckled out before placing the little kid down. With a thud, the kid kneeled down on the ground straight. Boss, could you please do some good? My father has been whacked till he was injured by someone. I've got no money to buy medicine here. As long as you give some to me, boss, I'm willing to work like a slave. Gosh, here I was just talking about how domineering you were. To think that you would kneel down so quickly. How boring. Lin Fan shook his head. As he flicked out his fingers, a pill landed before the little kid. Take this pill for your father. Remember to be more domineering in life in the future. If I don't give it to you, just try to rob me. What's with that kneeling and whatnot? Lin Fan, educated, the boy. If Lin Fan were to teach this boy, this guy would definitely turn into an overlord of the world someday someplace, and would bring forth harm for the masses. The little kid was stumped. Those bright, innocent eyes of his opened wide as he kowtowed a few times rapidly. Taking the pills, he kowtowed yet another few times and broke into a sprint as though he could nearly fly out. Boring. I wonder when the great sage can finally heal from his injuries. This unrivaled heaven-dueling mystic technique is something that's extremely mysterious. To think that it would be for one to duel with the heavens by increasing their fighting spirits. The great sage had retrieved the martial arts mystic skill from out of nowhere and handed it straight to Lin Fan. And, because he was in possession of the system, it was naturally extremely quick for him to learn that martial arts mystic skill. Therefore, he had already cultivated the unrivaled heaven-dueling mystic technique to its entry level. However, if he wanted to improve this to an even higher state, that might probably have to take some time. This skill was unlike any other skills. With other skills, Lin Fan could easily cultivate them to an extremely profound state with just a single thought. But, this skill was something that required time to grind and cultivate. At this moment within a broken and derelict hut, a man laid there looking extremely skinny and frail. It was especially the case on his chest where there was a single slash wound. There was a black mist shrouding that chest wound of his as though it was corroding his body. The wound was extremely deep, and one could even see his innards. If this were any normal person who had received a wound as such, they might have long died already. Father, I've got the medicine. A crisp voice of a kid that was filled with excitement traveled out. The frightfully pale face of the man who was lying on the bed let out with a faint and weak smile. But, his brows furrowed closely after as he spat out a mouthful of fresh blood. Father, I've got the medicine now. Hurry up and consume it, and your body will get better. The little kid said excitedly. The man's eyes shone with a look of despair. However, he still forced out a smile no matter what. An injury as such wasn't something that mere pills and medicines could heal at all. But, in order to give his son some hope, he could only consume it as an act. All right. The man knew that his time was almost up. The only thing he couldn't let go of right now was this son of his. However, in order to not let his son get worried, the man did not care what sort of a pill this was. Even if it were poison or anything, it didn't matter to him anymore. That was because he was the clearest about the condition of his body right now. When the man received the pill over, he consumed it in a single mouthful before fondling the head of his son. All right, go out there and play by yourself, then. But, just at this moment, the face of the man took a stark change as he let out a look of absolute disbelief. He could feel a tremendous life force ramming out within his entire body. The black mist that was shrouding his wounds was instantly purged away. The corroded flesh of his was healing up rapidly as well. The man's face was in fright right now as he looked at his son in utter astonishment. He did not know where in the world his son had obtained this elixir from. Chapter 931. Please don't come and annoy me. Chapter 931. Please don't come and annoy me. This shopfront that Lin Fan had bought over was totally insignificant in the face of the solitary Heaven City, and as a result, there weren't many customers. The main reason was because the previous owner did not have the strength to obtain some wondrous elixirs and whatnot. Therefore, it was only natural that most cultivators would definitely choose not to shop at his place. As for Lin Fan, it didn't matter to him whether business was good or not. As long as the great sage's wounds recovered, he would leave this place immediately. At the same time, he just wanted to hide for a short while now so that the utmost powerful beings could place their worries on other things and not fight him to the death over this. After such a long time, Lin Fan wanted to take a good break to rest his heart and soul as well. At this moment, there was a commotion outside. There were many guards of the Imperial City that were roaming the streets as though they were looking to arrest someone. However, Lin Fan wasn't bothered with these affairs in the least bit. Suddenly, a dog's barking rang over. Woof, woof. Raising his head, Lin Fan discovered that it was that little kid from before. However, there was now a middle-aged man that was standing beside the little kid. The aura of that middle-aged man was unusual, and furthermore, there were traces of the aura from his pill earlier on. Evidently, this man must have been the father that the kid had been referring to. November LBJNN. Father, he's the one who gave me the pill. The little kid pointed at Lin Fan saying. Now that his father had recovered, the little kid was naturally grateful beyond words. His impression towards Lin Fan had changed entirely. In fact, he was even slightly reverent of him by now. The middle-aged man was someone of divine celestial level 2 cultivation state. Therefore, he had some general knowledge about the world. When he looked over, he discovered that the aura around this benefactor before him was well restrained, without any single bit of reverberations. It was just as though he was a common person. But, the middle-aged man knew that it would definitely be the mistake of a blind person to take this man as a common person. Just that elixir alone could be considered as the most mysterious pill that this middle-aged man had seen in his entire life. Even if it were the most valuable pill in this world, there was no way it can just heal up those injuries he had in the blink of an eye. That wound had been afflicting him for years now as he suffered endless days and nights of pain of being eaten by it. At the same time, he had searched for an endless amount of wondrous elixirs and miracle pills. However, most of them could only help stop his pain and not purge it away completely. Thud, thank you for your life-saving grace, benefactor. I, Yang Wantian, am humbly filled with gratitude. I'm willing to work as a slave to repay you for this life-saving grace, benefactor. Yang Wantian declared with gratitude. Lin Fan sat there and raised his brows while saying, I'm lacking a sweeper here. You can stay here with that child of yours then. Lin Fan was not going to be staying here for a short while only. Therefore, it was only natural that he needed someone to help him. Using a single pill in exchange for free labor, why not? Furthermore, this Yang Wantian would definitely be more than willing to do so as well. Thank you, Master. Thank you, Master. This is my child, Yang Juxing. Yang Wantian said. Yang Juxing. Lin Fan furrowed his brows, feeling that this name didn't amount to much. Master, is there anything wrong with it? Yang Wantian could feel that the master before him was someone that had way more than what met the eye. There was a deeply indescribable feeling about him. There's nothing wrong with it. It's just that, this name is way too common. Lin Fan replied. Alright then, from now on, he will be called Yang Badian. That's a name that's more domineering and can ring through the heavens. Lin Fan remarked indifferently. But in the eyes of Yang Wantian, it created gigantic waves. This name. He might be killed to death just by telling people about his name. But now that this was a name given by his master, he naturally had to accept it. Master, that's a great name. Yang Wantian added on hurriedly. Father, your child here still thinks that Juxing is better. The little kid commented innocently. No, this is good. Badian is good. Even though Yang Wantian thought that Juxing was better as well, he naturally had to accede to his master's wishes now that he had acknowledged this man as his master. Alright, go and sweep the floor then. Don't bother me if there's nothing up. Lin Fan did not say anything much and continued to enter his days once more. Yes, Yang Wantian nodded his head before getting busy silently once more. For him, this ceremony of acknowledging this man as his master seemed a little too simple, didn't it? To think that it would be done with just a few mere words. Wasn't that too quick? A few days later, Yang Wantian felt that it would not do for the shop to continue down this way. In the past few days, there wasn't even a single customer. As the underling, he could not help but feel worried. He wanted to repay his gratitude. Therefore, he naturally did not wish for the business of the shop to continue being so cold. Master, I don't think that the shop's business is doing all too well. I think that we should try to purchase some pills or something. Yang Wantian seized the opportunity to sneak in some advice. It's alright, this is pretty nice like this. Oh, that's right, these clothes that you guys are wearing are a little too old. Go get yourselves some new ones. Lin Fan swept out with his robes and 100,000 Shenyang pills poured out on the table surface. Right now, Shenyang pills were the globalized currency, and 100,000 Shenyang pills was definitely no small sum. This was the amount gathered from the powerful beings splitting out the spirit chi of the world. For most people, 10,000 Shenyang pills was more than enough for them to sustain life for an entire year. But for those who cultivated, these 100,000 Shenyang pills were nothing more than just a slight drizzle. Thank you, Master, Yang Wantian thanked immediately. Yet, Another few days later. Lin Fan would always enter his paradise daily to check up on the situation of the great sage. At this moment, the great sage was shining with a golden glow around his body as a boundless power spread out through the air. The destructive power that was within his body rumbled up and threatened to take over his entire body. The two opposing forces clashed with one another. For a moment or so, there was no clear victor just yet. However, Lin Fan could clearly tell that the destructive power of thunder was gradually shrinking down in magnitude. Most probably, it wouldn't be long before it was purged out of the great sage's body entirely. That palm strike of the old Master Thunder possessed every single last bit of his strength. It was already considered to be a great heavenly fortune for the great sage to be even alive right now. That was also because the great sage did not have a physical body state as strong as Lin Fan's. And on this day, the shop was still cold as ever. But all of a sudden, a large group of guards surrounded Lin Fan's shopfront. Finally found him. The leader amongst them was a man with an authoritative aura. When he caught sight of Lin Fan, his eyes shone with a raging fury. At the side of the man was Shang Qingcheng, whom Lin Fan had trampled upon with his feet. They had been searching for him throughout the city for many days now. Since they had finally found him, they were naturally extremely excited. However, they knew that this man was extremely mighty. Therefore, they brought a large group of mercenaries with them over. You guys. When Yang Wantian caught sight of these guards, his brows furrowed before he blocked the shop entrance. It's all right, make way, Lin Fan said in a soft tone. Seeing this situation before his eyes, Lin Fan wasn't bothered in the least bit. To him, it was just akin to ants coming forth to seek trouble with him. Yang Wantian turned around to look back at Lin Fan before nodding his head and moving over to a side. Mercenaries, this is the man. You guys have to take him down. The Crown Prince ordered in a loud voice. Yes, the mercenaries nodded their heads immediately before turning around to look at Lin Fan. Seeing a young man as such, they weren't bothered about it at all. In their eyes, even though this lad might have some strength to him, it wasn't as though he could possibly defend against their combined attacks. As for Shang Qingcheng, she was just looking at Lin Fan with a wrathful look on her face. You be ****. I'm going to ensure that you're filled with torments. Highs. At this moment, Lin Fan sighed out softly and placed the toy in his hands down. Divine Celestial Level 7. Divine Celestial Level 8. Divine Celestial Level 9. That's all the strength that you guys have. I've said this before for you guys to not come and annoy me, haven't I? Otherwise, you're going to have to bear the consequences yourselves. At this moment, Lin Fan stood up. However, that indifferent expression on his face had the hearts of the mercenaries skipping a beat. In their eyes, this young man's figure itself before them was crushing down on their bodies just like a gigantic mountain. Chapter 932, Yud. Dare. Chapter 932, Yud. Dare. At this moment, Lin Fan was expressing his exasperation. He was someone who kept a low profile to himself. Even with the domineering amount of strength he had right now, he was willing to hide and be a mere ordinary owner of a pill shop in this imperial city. But howdy dowdy, to think that there would be people who were coming right at his face to provoke him instead. How could Lin Fan possibly endure something like that at all? At this moment, those mercenaries of the royalties were looking at Lin Fan in astonishment. That feeling from earlier on was unusually horrifying. It was as though they were meeting with an incredibly ferocious old ancient beast. In their eyes, Lin Fan was just like those old ancient beasts who had been living in seclusion. The moment he opened his eyes earlier on, a boundlessly mighty aura erupted forth from him. Crown Prince, the situation doesn't seem quite right, one of the mercenaries whispered softly. He could sense that this young man before them was extraordinary, and didn't look too simple to deal with at all. HMPH. What's wrong with that? Just take him down, the Crown Prince snorted coldly, clearly not feeling anything off about this situation at all. The peerlessly beautiful face of Shang Qingcheng looked as though it was about to explode from rage at any moment now. Those eyes of hers were fixated on Lin Fan with a death stare as though she could not wait to torment him to death hundreds and thousands of times over. The scene of her being humiliated was something that she would never ever forget for the rest of her life. To think that this damned fellow would dare to trample on her face in front of public. How could she endure something as such? She was the #1 beauty in this entire imperial city, the goddess in the hearts of countless of men. Each time she went out, she would be revered by the masses just like the stars in the skies. But, to think that this man before her would dare to stomp down on her beneath his feet, causing her to lose face in front of everyone else. No matter what, she would have to seek vengeance for this. Chick, Don't look at me with such vengeful eyes. Anyone who didn't know better might even think that you were dumped by me. I am someone who has high regards for my reputation, all right. Lin Fan replied indifferently. These bunch of little friends were simply way too ignorant of the world. If he were to burst forth with his full strength, he would scare them so badly they would practically piss the floor right now. Yang Wantian shielded his son behind him before checking out the situation before him warily. As long as something didn't seem right, he would strike immediately. Shut up, I'll definitely make you regret that. What are you guys still waiting for? Hurry up and go at him. Shang Qingcheng roared out at the mercenaries. Even though the mercenaries were skeptical about this, they could do nothing else but to strike out at this moment. Bam! The strength of these mercenaries wasn't weak at all. Causing thunder to crackle out and the winds to howl, they struck out instantly. Lin Fan squinted his eyes without budging a single inch. However, all of a sudden, the bodies of these mercenaries were sent rocketing back like bullets as they crashed down on the ground. Lin Fan did not get lethal with his blows. After all, he would have to stay in this imperial city for quite some time still. The mercenaries who had collapsed onto the ground looked at this man within the shop with frightful eyes. They did not know what had happened at all. At the very moment they had struck out, it was as though there was some formidable power that was slamming out on their bodies. By the time they came back to their senses, they were already lying flat on the ground. This was definitely some incredible expert. These mercenaries were no fools. They could tell that the man had shown them mercy. If he had gotten lethal with his attacks, they wouldn't be just lying down here right now. This. The Crown Prince was filled with confidence at the start. But at this moment, he was completely flabbergasted. This was too damned, bloody unreal, wasn't it? All of these mercenaries were powerful beings that were guarding this imperial city. But, the situation that was going on right now had the Crown Prince entirely startled. To think that all of these mercenaries would be taken down by the other party in a flash. They couldn't even take a clear look at what he had done. It was just way too fast. Initially, Yang Wantian had thought that this was definitely an inescapable battle to deal with. But, the current situation had him equally confounded. He knew of the strength of these mercenaries. They were powerful beings within the imperial city and guarded a place with unparalleled fighting prowess. To think that they would all be defeated right now. Yang Wantian looked at Lin Fan in shock. Just where in the world did this master of his come from? How could his strength be this formidable? Right now, there's only the two of you left. Lin Fan blinked his eyes with a calm tone. It was as though he was talking about something that could not have been any more normal right now. When Shang Qingcheng caught sight of everything before her, she was equally frozen. That curvy figure of hers started shuddering out uncontrollably as though she was truly somewhat scared right now. Just where in the world did this sicko come from? These guys were the mercenaries of the imperial city with an absolute strength. They were just like god beings. But, to think that they would seem like mere ants in the face of this man, without even a chance to fight back at all. November LBJNN. What are you trying to do? Shang Qingcheng stumbled back, but, because her actions were way too huge, those two lumps on her chest bounced up and down as well. Hee. Lin Fan sniggered despicably as though he was thinking of doing something. He then cast his sights over at the Crown Prince. When the Crown Prince experienced this gaze, his heart skipped a beat as he opened his mouth with some fright. I am the Crown Prince. If you do anything to me, you will definitely not make it out of this place. The both of you, don't worry. I'm definitely not going to do anything to you guys. After all, I'm an advocate of peace. Lin Fan replied as he put in his brightest beam. However, this smile was something that was ever so horrifying in the eyes of the Crown Prince and Shang Qingcheng. Their hearts seemed to have been frozen up. They could feel a malicious breeze stemming from that smile. Ah, Badian, pass me the broom. Lin Fan said. Young Badian opened his eyes wide. For a moment or so, he did not know what all of this was about. However, he still skipped over and brought the broom that was almost twice his height over. Lin Fan held onto the broom and smirked coldly. Since you guys are here, I'm afraid the impression wouldn't be too lasting if you guys don't leave something behind. What do you want to do? The both of them were taken aback, not understanding what this frightening fella before them wanted. Hue, what do you think? Lin Fan smiled out indifferently before they took the broom and spanked out at their bottoms. Peok! A crisp, clean sound reverberated through the shop. And following close behind was a series of tragic wails. I am the Crown Prince. How dare you? Ah, help me. The Crown Prince was whacked till he was jumping up and down as though there was fire beneath his feet. When Shang Qingcheng caught sight of this, she was completely dumbfounded as well. But right at this moment, she realized that the man had cast his sight onto her. She could not help but gulp down her saliva as she looked at Lin Fan with some fright. You'd dare, Piok. At this moment, there were two figures that were jumping wildly up and down on the streets. The feeling of that broom on their bodies was ever so painful. This was something that they could have never imagined happening to them. But, the reality was smacking their faces real hard right now. You had better stop that. I'm the Crown Prince. I'm never ever going to let you off. Ah, these sorrowful wails rang out through the entire area. They sounded ever so horrifying that they sent shivers down the spines of everyone who heard them. When all of the common folks caught sight of this scene, they were just rooted on the spot as well. They had realized who the two people being whacked were. One of them was the Crown Prince while the other was the #1 beauty of the entire solitary heavens city, Sheng Qingcheng. Yet, at this very moment, they were being whacked so badly by that mysterious man that they were jumping up and down. They looked so darned pathetic right now. All of the mercenaries could not help but gulp down their saliva as well as they exchanged glances with one another. Horrific. Chapter 933, Intent of Power. Chapter 933, Intent of Power. Within the Imperial City, the Crown Prince was stripped of his clothing and lying on the bed right now. Arg, the pain's killing me. The Crown Prince was wailing out relentlessly. His back was filled with red marks. Even though his skin did not tear, the pain was still tormenting him to no end. Crown Prince, the pills are here. A pills cultivation master hurried over while holding onto an elixir. The cultivation state of the Crown Prince wasn't weak. If these were ordinary injuries, he could have healed them up with his own powers. But, to his great shock, no matter how hard he tried to channel his powers, he could not purge the pain away at all. Hurry up, the Crown Prince shouted out impatiently. At a moment as such, he could only give the elixir of a pill cultivation master a shot. But, when the Crown Prince popped down the elixir and waited for it to take effect, he realized that there was no sh*t use at all. What is this pill that you've cultivated? How is it totally useless? The Crown Prince blared out in rage. The pill cultivation master was so scared that he collapsed to his knees and knelt down while his forehead was filled with sweat. The elixir was useless. How could it be? This elixir was something that was cultivated by gathering tons of godly medicines. How could it be useless? Son, what's wrong? Right at this moment, an authoritative voice boomed out. A man wearing a long yellow robe walked over with steady steps. When the Crown Prince caught sight of who it was, he started crying out immediately, "Father! There's an owner of a pill shop in the city who had dared to offend beyond his status. To think that there would be something as such. That is an unpardonable crime." The moment the Emperor of the solitary heavens city heard of this affair, that mighty face of his was enraged. This was a downright provocation of the royal family. "My son, you just take good rest. This matter, your father shall seek redressal for you." "Thank you, Father." The Crown Prince was elated beyond anything else. If his father were to head down personally, that damned fellow would have no choice but to surrender. But naturally, what the Crown Prince did not know was that after his father headed back, he had summoned the mercenaries over to him. When he clarified the entire affair, his face took on a myriad of expressions. "Based on your word, that young man did not even go all out. It seems more as though he's intending to hide within the solitary heavens city." The mercenaries who had received Lin Fan's attack nodded their heads in response. "That's right. The power of our strongest mercenary is already that of a divine celestial level 9 state being. And yet, just like all of us, he could not make out how the other party had attacked at all. Even a divine celestial level 10, eternal God state powerful being would not be this strong. By the looks of it, he should be of supreme state, or even higher." One of the mercenaries replied. Upon hearing these words, the Emperor naturally froze up. A powerful being that was at the supreme state and above. This was some character that was absolutely heaven-revolting. Even though they had the protection of the utmost powerful beings, the solitary heavens city was but a small little city. Whether it existed or was destroyed wasn't something that the old master would bother with at all. According to you guys then, do you think that this mysterious powerful being poses a threat to the Imperial City? This was the matter that the Emperor was the most concerned about right now. I don't think so. As a powerful being, he naturally has the magnanimity of a powerful being. Even though the Crown Prince and the Missy of the Shang family had openly provoked him twice, they did not end up with any fatal injuries. Not only that, to us, he seemed to be only chasing us away, and did not do anything overboard. I suppose that he should be trying to keep a low profile and hide within the solitary heavens city. In the opinion of your subject here, I think that the fact that the Crown Prince was able to meet such a powerful being is a celebratory news tantamount to the heavens. If that mysterious powerful being had truly wanted to kill the Crown Prince, none of us would have been able to stop him. After all, we're nothing but ants in the eyes of these powerful beings. If the Crown Prince were to settle this on his own, who knows if there might be any connection to be made out of this? The mercenary said. These words of the mercenary had the heart of the emperor blossoming with happiness. A supreme powerful being, that was not half bad now. Initially, the Crown Prince had wanted to depend on his father for help. But by the looks of it, he had already been sold out by his father. It was the same for the Shang family right now. The family head of the Shang family had the same idea as the emperor, that this was an affinity for them. Therefore, he just placated Shang Qingcheng a little and had her go settle the mess on her own. At this moment, Lin Fan was feeling joyous all over after having taught the Crown Prince and Shang Qingcheng a lesson. At times, it was pretty okay to find some things to do as well. And just at this moment, his brows furrowed as he looked over to the vast, boundless void. This was the aura of an utmost powerful being. Wantian, look after the shop. Lin Fan stood up and dove into the endless void. Young Wantian looked at his master who had disappeared and felt extremely astonished in his heart. He wondered just what sort of a background his master had. Mother *C King Human King, this is the first time we're meeting. The moment Lin Fan appeared in the void, a voice traveled into his ears. Lin Fan froze up, to think that he would have been discovered by someone. Mother *C King Human King, you do not have to worry. I mean no harm. When the figure appeared before Lin Fan, he was even more petrified, the power demonic god of the ancient race, Pengu. Pengu looked exactly like all the other ancient race beings. However, his aura was extremely composed, and was nowhere as berserk as the others. At the same time, Lin Fan could tell that Pengu was the centrifuge of all power. There was an extremely boundless force that was emanated out from his body. November LBJNN. This was the power of the extremes that could destroy everything. It was a power that could tear down the entire world. Demonic god Pengu, how did you find me out? Lin Fan asked. The moment you entered the solitary heavens city, I had already sensed it. Demonic god Pengu chuckled out while saying. However, because of the fact that he was still an ancient race being, this laughter was still pretty scary to look at. You don't wish to kill me? Lin Fan asked again. Right now, he was the target that must be killed in the eyes of countless of utmost powerful beings. After all, he was someone who had stolen a whole bunch of legendary items. As for this demonic god Pengu, he was probably the highest of all the existences amongst the utmost powerful beings. When his powers were accumulated to a certain extent, a fist could destroy everything in this world. If he were to fight with the other party, even this immemorial ancient full cultivation state physical body of his might not be able to withstand even a single blow of it. Haha, why would I want to kill you? The only reason why I came forth this time around was because I wanted to see for myself just what sort of a person this Mother *C King Human King is who had caused all the other utmost powerful beings to run around in circles in a fluster. Are you the one watching over these living beings here? But, you're a demonic god of the ancient race, right? Lin Fan asked curiously. This is the race of my sworn brother. However, my sworn brother has fallen several eras ago. Right now, I'm just helping him to take care of them thoroughly. Demonic god Pengu replied. Towards Pengu, Lin Fan was still slightly on his guard. As long as things didn't seem right, he would retreat immediately. When the demonic god Pengu realized that Lin Fan was still being wary of him, he chuckled out as well and then spoke up, your powers are decent. But, it's a pity that you haven't sought out the true source of power just yet. I'll gift this to you. A golden imprint flew out of the palms of the demonic god Pengu. Within this golden imprint was a horrifying power. Right now, Lin Fan was completely dumbfounded. What in the world was this demonic god Pengu doing here? Was he just here to give him an item? You don't have to think too much about it. This era is the final era. But, it's a pity that the others do not know that this has got nothing to do with their fortunes coming to an end. It's just that the outworld vessel is on its brink of destruction. If they could have transcended, they would have transcended a couple of eras ago. The demonic god Pengu continued. What does that mean? Lin Fan's brains were starting to hurt right now. The influx of information was getting a little too much. Ha, you'll understand once you reach that level. The sooner you understand, the more pressure it will bring forth for you, that's all. The demonic god Pengu laughed out before he tore through the void and disappeared from where he was. Lin Fan blinked his eyes as he stood on the spot. So, what in the world did he make the trip here for? However, when that golden imprint made contact with his hands, the notification from the system came through. Ding! Discovered intent of power. Chapter 934. Just a small little experiment. Chapter 934. Just a small little experiment. What in the world is this intent of power thing? Lin Fan did not know what the demonic god Pengu was up to. One thing that Lin Fan hated the most was when people just left their sentences midway and left everything totally unclear. If not for the fact that he could not defeat the demonic god Pengu, Lin Fan might have truly whacked him sprawling over so that he could say everything out clearly and properly. Ding! Congratulations on discovering intent of power. Ding! Do you wish to accumulate the source of power? Lin Fan was stunned. Was there even a need to ask this? Naturally, he had to accumulate it, duh. Wasn't that just a nonsensical question? Ever since Lin Fan had the system, he knew that he didn't have to be wary of being scammed by anything. In front of the system, nothing could hide their true intentions at all. Back in the past when that 7-saint-old dog had wanted to scam him to death with the pills, it was all thanks to the checks of the system that Lin Fan had avoided the scam. And right now, this intent of power here had Lin Fan developing some favorable impressions of the demonic god Pengu. To think that he would come forth to give him such a nice gift. The demonic god Pengu, who had already left long ago, looked back into the distance behind him. Towards this mother *C King Human King, he had pretty high hopes. If anyone could transcend through everything, it might just be this human right here. Highs, only, I wonder if that human will be able to comprehend the intent of power. Power is something that everyone has. However, the source of power is not something that everything can hope to comprehend. As the power demonic god, the demonic god Pengu was the strongest existence in the entire world. However, even if it were him, he could not break through everything and transcend. If this mother *C King Human King wishes to transcend without being able to comprehend the source of power, that would naturally be something impossible as well. Shing! Just at this moment, the void far in the distance began to tremble as a formidable power surged its way into the void. This. No, vel, b, in .c, ohm. The demonic god Pengu was dumbfounded when he sensed the power that was emanated forth. How could this be? How could that lad possibly comprehend the source of power so quickly? The demonic god Pengu was absolutely astounded right now as his face was filled with utter bewilderment. As the power demonic god, it was born in him to be able to comprehend the source of power. Over the countless of eras that had passed, he had gifted the power imprint to many of the savants and geniuses of those eras as well. However, to the disappointment of the demonic god Pengu, none of them were able to comprehend the source of power. Although, those geniuses were pretty exceptional in their own rights as well. Through the power imprint, they managed to comprehend all sorts of mystical and supreme martial arts skills. This was something that the demonic god Pengu had considered as extraordinary as well. But right now, he was left entirely speechless. He had only just left, and the mother *C King Human King had already comprehended the source of power. This was way too horrifying. Looking over with a deep gaze for one final time, the demonic god Pengu eventually left the place. Could this be the source of power? Right now, Lin Fan could feel some changes going on within his inner world. Within the center of his inner world was a source that was like the mouth of a spring being surrounded by a mist of power. The Xuanwang world, Earth, and his paradise were all revolving around this source of power continuously. This is pretty interesting. Lin Fan had suddenly realized that his powers had gotten more mysterious right now. He then returned to the pill shop and continued to try figuring this out even further. Yang Wantian looked at his master. He realized that his master seemed a little different upon his return. After entering the back room, Lin Fan sat down cross-legged as his essence, spirit and vitality were all fused into his inner world. Source of power. Level 1. To think that there's even a level to this. Seems like I've got to comprehend this properly on my own. Ever since he got the system, everything had turned into numerical values. Even if he wanted to level up, he would require experience points. When Lin Fan's essence, spirit and vitality started churning together with the source of power, the notifications of the experience points rang out. Oh, so that's the case. Ever since he had comprehended the source of power, every single strike that Lin Fan made was filled with a formidable amount of force that ruptured forth. Even though his personal cultivation state had yet to be raised, every move of his was way stronger compared to before. The days passed one after another. 1 month later, when Lin Fan opened his eyes, a brilliant light shot out of both his eyes. Could this be the true essence of power? After an entire month of hard work at cultivation, the source of power had finally reached level 2 successfully. Even though it was just an increase of a single level, Lin Fan could clearly feel that his personal strength had turned ever stronger. This was the booster of the true essence of power, similar to when he was buffed with the true essence of fire and water from the Fire-Water Empress. However, the true essence of fire and water that he had once comprehended were imparted to him by the Fire-Water Empress, and not something he had cultivated out on his own. But right now, this source of power was something that belonged to him personally. No one else would be able to snatch this from him. Master, you're out of your seclusion. When Lin Fan came out, Yang Wantian rushed forth and greeted him immediately. Yes, Lin Fan nodded his head. He then looked over at Yang Wantian's son beside him. Suddenly, a thought struck Lin Fan. Or perhaps, this could be considered as an experiment. Now that he had already comprehended the source of power, he wondered if he could have Yang Badian comprehend the same source of power as well. If he could do that, wouldn't it be absolutely heaven-revolting? After all, the name of this lad was something that he had given himself. With such a domineering name, if he didn't have an equivalent amount of power matching it, wouldn't that be something irreconcilable? Lad, come over here. Lin Fan curled with his finger. Yang Badian twerked his bottom and came before Lin Fan. Those innocent and huge eyes of his shone with curiosity, wondering what his master had called him over for. During this period of time, Yang Wantian had been brainwashing his own son. The man before him was his master. Therefore, it was naturally easy to brainwash his child, and it was thus no wonder that by now, Yang Badian was clear of the fact that Lin Fan was his master as well. Yang Wantian looked over at his master and then back at his child. He wondered what his master was up to. Lin Fan placed his palms on the head of Yang Badian. Impart. The trainer module had the function of imparting skills naturally existent within it as well. Source of power. Indeed, it was as Lin Fan had suspected. The source of power could truly be imparted over to Yang Badian. The system is just absolutely heaven-revolting now. If the demonic god Pengu were to find out about this, he would definitely be shocked shish. At the start, Yang Wantian did not know what was going on just yet. But all of a sudden, he realized that the aura of his child had changed. A boundless amount of power was bursting forth from the body of his child. This power brought with it an aura that could devastate the entire world. Yang Wantian was a divine celestial state powerful being. Therefore, he could naturally sense the difference in terms of the power. This could be considered as something that had surpassed everything. You're still too young right now and it's definite that you will not be able to control this well. I guess I should only activate it for you when you're older. Lin Fan felt that if outsiders were to find out that a power as such was being emanated out of the body of this child, they would definitely tear him apart to experiment on him. Therefore, it was better for him to seal up the skill and wait for him to grow older before he started cultivating on it. By then, he should be able to have more mastery over it. Thud. At this moment, Yang Wantian collapsed onto the ground, kneeling in a loud thud. Thank you, Master. I, Yang Wantian, will definitely serve you with all my heart from now on forth even at the cost of my life. It was natural that Yang Wantian could sense the power that was brooding within the body of his son. This power had him feeling absolutely fearful. Therefore, there was no need to even talk about how great of a gift this was. Yes, regarding something as such, Lin Fan naturally did not put it to heart. This was just a small affair. Furthermore, this was also just a small little experiment on its own. Right now, Yang Badian was still too young to understand. However, this path he was on was one that was retrospective at this moment. By the time he came of age and awakened this source of power within him, he would definitely be on the path where he would hang and whack any genius in his path. And, to think that all of this was just a little experiment in the eyes of Lin Fan. Chapter 935. Could there be enemies knocking? Chapter 935. Could there be enemies knocking? After an entire month of resting, the pain on the body of the Crown Prince and Shang Qingcheng had long dissipated entirely. At this moment, the both of them were meeting up at a restaurant. That fella should have already been suppressed by my father. The events from a month ago were something the Crown Prince still remembered deep in his heart. If not for the fact that the pain was way too intense and he had no other choice but to rest it off, he might have already brought an army with him to go take down the other party. Shang Qingcheng did not reply. However, her eyes still shone with an indignant rage. Even with the passage of time, the anger within her could not be washed off at all. How are you so certain that your father has already done something about it? Shang Qingcheng asked. In reality, Shang Qingcheng did not have much feeling towards the crown prince. However, right now, they could be considered to be sharing the same types of lives. Both of them had been trampled down by Lin Fan. Is there even a need to ask? The dignity of the royal family is not something that any common folk can trample on. No matter how strong he is, it's not as though he could be stronger than the entire might of our royalty, can he? The crown prince said with confidence. That's true as well. Shang Qingcheng nodded her head, feeling that the words of the crown prince did make some sense. Why does it seem as though there are so many people from other races here recently? When the crown prince looked out at those people on the streets, he realized that there were a lot of foreigners coming recently. All of these foreigners were draped in black robes and looked far from normal. Hue, is this what the crown prince like you should be worrying about? Perhaps, we should be going to check out whether that fella has been dealt with instead. Shang Qingcheng asked. That makes sense as well. Alright, we'll go take a look. Initially, the crown prince had wanted to check out what these foreigners were here to do. But the moment he thought about that damned Lin Fan, his heart was filled with a ball of burning rage. At this moment, the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng were sneaking around furtively somewhere nearby while checking out the situation within the shop. That fella is gone, Shang Qingcheng said. HMPH. That's for sure. With my father making a move personally, it's not as though that fella would dare to show his face still, would he? The crown prince burst out in laughter. That fella there seems to be a shopkeeper. If your father had already dealt with that darn fella, how could this guy still possibly be around? Shang Qingcheng asked. My father is a benevolent and merciful king. Therefore, he obviously would not implicate the innocents within their feud. This shopfront should be managed by this guy right now. Let's go over and check it out. After observing for a long time, the crown prince finally made the decision to head up and check out the situation personally. Yang Wantian was just busy dealing with the affairs of the shop. With that miraculous encounter of his son, he was filled with an immense gratitude towards Lin Fan. He had initially thought that this would be all he would amount to for the rest of his life, and he thought the same for his son as well. But, by the looks of things right now, this wasn't how the situation was turning out to be at all. This was something that had Yang Wantian immensely excited. Every single day of his life right now was filled with motivation. As for the affairs of the pugilistic world out there, he did not want to ask too much about it. All he wanted to do now was to repay Lin Fan properly. Cough. The crown prince placed his hands behind his back and walked into the shop. What's going on now? Are you the owner now? Yang Wantian had initially wondered what sort of a guest it was that had arrived. But when he saw who it was, his face was startled. The crown prince, your highness. Yang Wantian was a native resident of the place. Therefore, he naturally knew who the crown prince was. Yes, you must remember. The great might of my father is boundless. For him to let you off, you should definitely show him your gratitude and be filled with thanks. The crown prince said. Yang Wantian was stunned, not quite understanding what the crown prince meant by this. When the crown prince looked at the surprised expression on the face of Yang Wantian, he was naturally extremely proud within his heart. It was evident that the darned fella had been suppressed down by his father. Oh, I see that a distinguished guest has arrived. Just at this moment, Lin Fan walked out from the back house with a bright smile on his face. When the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng heard this voice, the both of them had a stark change on their face. It was as though they had just seen a ghost as they were filled with immense disbelief. Why you? The both of them hadn't expected that this fellow would still be doing all fine right now. It was as though nothing had happened to him at all. This. What's wrong? Are there any problems? Lin Fan smiled while asking. How could this be? How are you still here right now? The crown prince exclaimed in shock. His father had promised him that he would deal with this fella here. But how could this fella still possibly be here? Could there have been something else that had happened in between? Master, the broom. At this moment, Yang Badian scrambled over from the distance while holding onto the broom. Yes, Lin Fan nodded his head. This was a pretty decent kid to know what he was thinking about right now. Seems like Lin Fan's changing of Yang Badian's fate hadn't been wasted at all. When the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng caught sight of this broom, their faces turned frightfully pale instantly. After all, the trauma brought to them by this broom was way too deep. They were left lying on the bed for one entire month. This was a feeling that one would never be able to understand for their entire life unless they experienced it for themselves. You'd still dare to whack me? Aren't you afraid? The crown prince howled out. Hue, since you're here, stay here then. What wouldn't I dare to? Piok. Ah! All of a sudden, a tragic wail rang forth. The crown prince was being whipped like a monkey right now as he hopped up and down. Stop that! Stop that now! The crown prince howled out. This guy was just a beast. And furthermore, he did not even know how this guy could manage to do it. While there wasn't much of an injury after he was whipped, the type of pain that lingered was something that persisted for an entire month. Don't you come over. Shang Qingcheng looked over at Lin Fan. That supremely ravishing face of hers had turned pale as a sheet by now. This guy was just a twisted pervert. Out of all the places he could whack, he targeted her bum, and only her bum alone. Because of that, she even had to sleep sprawled over without being able to flip her body around at all. Oh, it's gotten quite a bit perkier, hasn't it? Glaring at the bum of Shang Qingcheng, Lin Fan sniggered despicably. Don't you come over. In the eyes of Shang Qingcheng right now, Lin Fan was just like the devil. Hee no vel b in c om. Ah, somebody save me. A sorrowful shriek rattled the entire world, sending shivers down everyone's spines. While Lin Fan was teaching these two fellas a lesson, there were two other figures that were standing in the void somewhere in the distance. Emperor Wu, that young man is truly a supremely powerful being. The family head of the Shang family said. Yes. 1 month later, in order to let himself get bored, Lin Fan did not give the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng the same type of pain to endure as before. Because of that, they got more ferocious in their confrontations and ended up coming forth to look for him, only to end up being whipped daily. Within his paradise, the wounds of the great sage had gradually started recovering. As for the level of the source of power, it was at level 2 still. There was a little bit of distance from reaching the next level. Lin Fan had given it a rough calculation. It wouldn't be long before he left the solitary heavens city now. Once the great sage recovered from his wounds, that would be the time to go for war. Given the character of the great sage, he would definitely head out to seek revenge for his fallen comrades. Shing! All of a sudden, Lin Fan's brows furrowed. A ball of blood chi shrouded over the entire world and enveloped the solitary heavens city completely. Raising his head over, Lin Fan could see a blood-red light screen shining in the void that covered the entire solitary heavens city. On this blood-red light screen were countless runes that flashed out as though this was a formation of sorts. The blood seas ran through the entire sky as a bloody stench filled everyone's noses, making them feel extremely uncomfortable. Just what in the world is going on with this situation? Could it be that some enemy has come knocking on our doorsteps? Chapter 936, Blood Sea Formation. Chapter 936, Blood Sea Formation. However, when Lin Fan looked up at the few figures in the void, he heaved out a sigh of relief as well. Seems like I've just been overthinking things. Like I said, yours truly has kept himself hidden so secretively. How could those retarded utmost powerful beings possibly find me out? However, these guys seemed a little stupid now. This was the territory that was guarded by the demonic god Pangu. For them to dare to head here and act so audaciously. Weren't they afraid of death? Master, they seem to be of the bat race. But, what in the world are they doing here? Yang Wantian reared his head up into the void and asked curiously. That's none of my business. Someone else will come and settle it. Lin Fan replied calmly. Hearing that, Yang Wantian nodded his head and got back to being busy once more. At this moment, the residents of the solitary heavens city looked up at the void in fright. They did not know what was going on right now. The entire city was enveloped by this light screen that shone with a blood-red gleam. The sinister laughter ringing out was especially chilling for these residents. It was as though there were an infinite number of devils and evil creatures swarming and dancing around their ears. At this moment, 4 beings of the bat race looked down at the panicked residents of the solitary heavens city, and could not help but roar out in laughter. Their bloodlines are ours for sure. In order to break through this defensive formation of the solitary heavens city, we've remained hidden and waited for a long time now. A living being of the bat race with bloodshot eyes chuckled out while saying. The blood sea formation that the old master gave us is truly extremely strong. As long as we refine all the living beings within the solitary heavens city, we will be able to cultivate out the saint-graded god blood. With that, our strength will definitely turn even stronger. The blood sea formation was a skill used to refine living beings and extract the bloodline within their bodies. This was the cultivation method of the bat race, to steal away the fruits of success from other people. Initially, the solitary heavens city had a defensive formation that was laid down by an utmost powerful being. But, with the blood sea formation that was granted to these beings of the bat race by their old master, they were able to demolish the defensive formation of the solitary heavens city. Right now, the living beings within the solitary heavens city were like fishes in a net that could be taken away to be used as refining material at any moment. When the countless of cultivators saw the situation turning as such, they naturally would not surrender without a fight. But, when they witnessed the might that was plummeting down from the void with such a berserk form, the aura filled with a bloody stench was embedded deep in their hearts. Within the Imperial City, boom, a few figures bolted up into the sky. The mercenaries of the Imperial City bore grim looks on their faces. Bat race, our solitary heavens city has always steered clear of your way and neither side has offended the other. What is the meaning of this? All of these mercenaries were initially natives of the solitary heavens city that went out for training on their own. After their cultivation states were raised, they then returned to where they came from and bowed down to serve the Imperial City. With that, they were under no one else but the royal family, and protected the entire place. Even though they did not know what was up with the current situation, they knew that this could definitely be nothing good. In the past, the solitary heavens city had also faced some external invasions. But, all of that was dozens of years ago. It had been extremely peaceful afterward. However, the situation that was unfolding right now left them feeling really uneasy. They did not know which utmost powerful being had laid down the defensive formation for the solitary heavens city. However, it was extremely miraculous, and could defend against everything. But right now, they discovered that the defensive formation had been broken through by these guys, and could no longer function anymore. Father, to think that these damned beings of the bat race would dare to come act brazenly in our solitary heavens city. Let me, as your son, go deal with them, the Crown Prince declared in an enraged tone. Come back and stay one side. The face of the Emperor was solemn right now. This current situation was far from ordinary. Shesh, a race that has no protection of an utmost powerful being. You guys have nothing awaiting you but death. Your granddaddy of the bat race here is in the midst of cultivating a peerless mystic skill and requires your bloodlines. This can be considered as your honor as well. A being of the bat race shrieked out in an extremely high-pitched and shrill voice. Reversal formation. Bam! 4 of the beings of the bat race roared out as a mysterious power seeped into the formation. All of a sudden, the gigantic blood-red light screen that was enveloping the entire solitary heavens city seemed as though it was like a water current that started flowing down. Those mysterious runic symbols that were filled with a nefarious aura glimmered even more sinisterly. A vile and horrifying aura burst forth from it, just like a gigantic mountain crashing down on the bodies of the residents of the solitary heavens city. Brazen, the mercenaries could no longer bear with it as they struck out immediately. They could already sense the powers emanating out of that gigantic formation. Within it was a power of refinement. It tried to communicate with their bloodlines as though it wanted to rip them out of their bodies entirely. But, the moment these mercenaries struck out, a few streaks of blood-red light beams bolted out from within the city. Shesh, any form of resistance is futile. The color drained from the faces of the mercenaries. To think that there were beings of the bat race hidden within the city itself. These so-called powerful beings of the Imperial City don't seem as though they're able to hold out. Lin Fan was watching the situation up in the void as though it was a movie along with young Wantian and his son. He could not help but blurt out. Master, it's evident that these beings from the bat race were prepared before coming over. Even though the strength of these mercenaries may be strong, they seem to be restrained under the power of that blood-colored formation. Young Wantian remarked. N-O-V-E in .c ohm. Yes, the formation can cause an immense amount of repression onto one and lock down the power of your bloodline directly. To think that the bat race would be in possession of such a mystic skill. Lin Fan replied. However, there was something that bewildered Lin Fan. Why didn't the demonic god Pengu appear yet? Wasn't he here to help look after the race of his sworn brother? However, on second thought, the world was so huge and there were so many cities. How could he possibly be able to watch over all of them? All of you ants don't have to struggle anymore. Just stay there obediently and let us snatch away your bloodlines. Perhaps that might even help you to keep your life. The beings of the bat race burst out laughing wildly. To them, the solitary heavens city was already a done deal in their eyes. Father, are you all right? The Crown Prince shielded his father behind him immediately. He hadn't expected for the countless of mercenaries of the Imperial City to not be a match for these beings of the bat race. This was something that he could not have imagined at all. Cough, cough. The Emperor coughed out a mouthful of blood as his face turned pale. He evidently hadn't expected that these beings of the bat race would be this strong. Under the might of this formation, he could not even unleash half of his actual strength. Pishu. At that moment, the formation started moving. All the normal residents of the solitary heaven city started screaming out tragically. They could feel as though something was about to burst forth from their bodies. That's right, I'll go look for that fella. He will definitely be able to help us. At this moment, a thought struck the mind of the crown prince. He then sprinted off into the distance with all his speed. Son, where are you going? Father, I'm going to seek help from that man. The crown prince said. Come back, this is the bat race we're talking about. If he was willing to help us, he would have struck out long ago. The emperor knew that if the other party had wanted to do anything about this, he would have done it long ago. But, there had been no sign of anything up until now. Perhaps he was wary of the utmost powerful being of the bat race as well. However, the crown prince had long vanished from the spot by now. Master, are you really going to make a move? Yang Wantian asked. Right now, even if Lin Fan did not want to help out, he couldn't avoid it at all. Initially, he had thought that the mercenaries of the imperial city would be able to solve these issues. But to think that they would be so weak that they couldn't even fight back in the slightest bit. No matter what, the demonic god Pengu had given him a little something. If he did not make his move, at this rate, the solitary heaven city might just be annihilated entirely. And just as Lin Fan was prepared to move out, a figure burst over from the distance in a state of hysteria. From another direction, another figure hurried over as well. When Lin Fan took a closer look, he was elated. It was the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng. Seemed like those two fellas were not so stupid after all to know to seek him for help. But, since that was the case, he might as well let them exhibit some of their sincerity. However, Lin Fan knew that if he were to strike out, it would also mean that that would be the time for him to leave this place. After all, the old master of the bat race had a nose that was even more sensitive than that of a dog. Chapter 937. Indeed, he had really been found out. Chapter 937. Indeed, he had really been found out. Lin Fan sat there in a relaxed manner looking as though he was totally unbothered by all worldly affairs. The broom is here. By habit, Yang Badian brought the broom over immediately. When the crown prince and Shang Qingcheng caught sight of this broom, the expression on their faces changed slightly. It was as though they have lost a bit of their guts. But at this moment, the crown prince stepped forth immediately and disregarded the broom entirely. "Oh, there's something strange about today. To think that you would come looking for me personally. Aren't you afraid of being whacked by my broom?" Lin Fan asked while chuckling. Hee. The crown prince revealed an extremely awkward smile. Gosh, you look even uglier when you're smiling than when you're crying. Put on a serious face please. Lin Fan remarked. Yes. Immediately, the face of the crown prince turned solemn. He then looked over at Lin Fan with a pleading expression. Could you please help me? The crown prince spoke up. His voice was a little weak as though he was out of breath. This man before him was someone he could not offend. The powers of the other party were extremely profound and unperceivable. There was no telling what cultivation state he was at. Now that the solitary heaven city was meeting such a situation, if he were to still put on a strong front and cause the other party to feel uncomfortable, the crown prince would definitely be filled with remorse should the other party choose to chase him away with the broom as per usual. You wish for me to help you? Lin Fan chuckled out while asking once more. Yes. The crown prince nodded his head hurriedly. He believed that as long as the other party was willing to help out, these beings of the bat race would definitely be taken down immediately. At this moment, Lin Fan put on an expression as though he was being placed in a spot right now. But, why should I help you? After all, these beings of the bat race have come looking for trouble for you guys. There's nothing to do with me at all, Otherwise, how about you give me a reason for me to help you and try convincing me? Lin Fan added on. The crown prince let out a troubled face. For a moment or so, he truly could not come up with any idea at all. Shang Qingcheng, who was standing at the side, was starting to get anxious right now. The safety of the common folks had no sh*t to do with her at all. What she was concerned about was the safety of her family members. Her father was also part of the mercenaries of the imperial city who were fighting against the bat race right now. If this were to delay any longer, it might all be too late. At this moment, Shang Qingcheng spoke up immediately. As long as you were to help me, in the future, I'll let you whack me as much as you want without wearing any undergarments. The moment Shang Qingcheng said these words, Lin Fan was so scared his little heart and guts almost spilled out. This chick couldn't have been addicted to the whackings, right? To think that she could even spout out such words. At the same time, the crown prince could only gasp in admiration. This woman was something. However, it wasn't as though there was no basis for these words of Shang Qingcheng as well. In the span of the past few months, she had been on the receiving hands of Lin Fan's attacks entirely. However, there was a single remark that Lin Fan made which was stuck in her memories like a fresh sheet. Gosh, it really doesn't feel as comfortable whacking her when she's wearing undergarments. For Shang Qingcheng, those words had brought for her an immense amount of humiliation. But at a moment as such, she could only bow down and submit to this man. As long as this accursed fellow would help her out, so be it if she didn't wear anything. And, just as Lin Fan was just about to reply with something, the blood sea formation that was up in the void above burst forth with the might it rightfully possessed. Within the blood sea formation was the aura of the old Master Bat. This should be the power that was buffed up by the old Master Bat to enable it to remove the defensive formation that was set on the solitary heaven city by an utmost powerful being. Unless it was another utmost powerful being at work, there would be no formations or whatsoever that could possibly destroy the defensive formation. Ha ha ha, go to hell, the living beings of the bat race roared out in laughter. The faces of the Crown Prince and Shang Qingcheng changed once more as beads of sweat began to drip down from their foreheads. In a flash, the green tiles of the floor they were standing on were soaked with a wet patch. The bloodlines within their bodies seemed as though they could rupture out at any moment now. At this moment, Lin Fan took a step forth. Using his finger like a sword, he gave the air a gentle slash. Forget it, let's take this as compensation for the joy and entertainment you guys have provided me in the past few months then. All of a sudden, the Crown Prince and Shang Qingcheng could feel the sensation of their bloodline trying to leave their bodies disappearing instantly. They then turned around to look at Lin Fan with a face of gratitude. Even though this single finger of Lin Fan looked extremely casual without any special feedback coming from it, it was as though the entire void was sliced cleanly into two at this moment. The gigantic blood-red formation that was shrouding over the entire solitary heaven city was split into two as the shining runes within it started falling out. Bam, bam, explosions boomed out in the void as the blood sea formation was destroyed. N-O-V-E in .C ohm. The living beings of the bat race were initially all prepared to gather in all the bloodlines. But all of a sudden, the entire formation had disappeared. The shock had their faces filled with astonishment. Just what in the world is going on? All of the residents who were filled with torments were suddenly released from their sufferings. They then let out a look of exhilaration. It's all right now, that feeling of torment is gone. When the mercenaries of the Imperial City caught sight of everything, their hearts skipped a beat. Just moments earlier, an extremely sharp aura shredded through the entire world and caused the blood sea formation to disperse out. At that moment, their hearts were filled with glee. Within the Imperial City, there was only a single person who possessed a power as such. Who is it? Just who is it? But for the beings of the bat race, the destruction of their formation naturally had them thoroughly enraged. A series of maddened roars rang out through the entire world. But, just at this moment, the void trembled out as a heaven-encompassing palm slammed up from within the Imperial City. What's that? There was a boundless power that was encircling the entire world. When the living beings of the bat race caught sight of this gigantic palm, their entire hearts sunk. The power seemed as though it tunneled through the surface of several worlds and sealed this place entirely, leaving them with nowhere to escape from it at all. Old Master, save me! Old Master, save me! The living beings of the bat race screeched out as they sent out their consciousness, seeking help. All of these living beings of the bat race were akin to ants. The moment they were caught by that gigantic palm, they disintegrated into dust with just a slight bit of strength being used. Thank you, thank you. When the Crown Prince caught sight of everything before him, his heart skipped a beat. This power was something that looked too horrifying in his eyes. Lin Fan did not say anything as he frowned instead. In his heart, he was feeling exasperated. Seemed like he had been found out. The fact that these living beings of the bat race had dared to come over to the solitary heavens city to try and refine the living beings here must mean that they obviously had obtained the approval of their old master. At the same time, after Lin Fan took down all of these beings of the bat race, it was only natural that the old master bat would have received the feedback. For utmost powerful beings, a single thought could reach the ends of the world. Even if they were several worlds apart, everything could be covered with just a single thought. At this moment, Lin Fan floated up into the void and focused his sight onto the void immediately after. Old Master Bat, since you're here, come along with yours truly then. Lin Fan tore off his mask and bolted off into the distance. As for Yang Wantian and his son, Lin Fan did not take them along with him and left them behind at the solitary heaven city. The city was the safest option. At least, it was safer than for them to be tagging along with him. The Crown Prince looked up into the void and did not know what had happened. But just at this moment, a torrential might ripped through the entire world as a colossal bat hovered above the heavens and earth. Mother *C King Human King. This was a voice that was filled with fury and rage as though it bore some immense hatred of sorts. The void quivered as a figure appeared standing solitary up above in the sky. The old Master Bat took a glance at the entire solitary heavens city before he burst off and chased after Lin Fan. Mother *C King Human King. The Crown Prince and everyone else muttered in their mouths. Even though Yang Wantian had acknowledged Lin Fan as his master, he did not know what sort of a person Lin Fan was the entire time. But when he heard that mysterious powerful being mention the words, Mother *C King Human King, Yang Wantian made sure to etch that into his heart. So, the title of his master was Mother *C King Human King. Chapter 938, Come at Me Then. Chapter 938, Come at Me Then. Mother *C King Human King, you had better stop there for your old master. Right now, the old Master Bat was excited beyond anything else. To think that he would be the one to discover the whereabouts of the Mother *C King Human King. This Mother *C King Human King had stolen tons of legendary items, and had long incurred the wrath of the utmost powerful beings who could not wait to rip his body up into shreds. The moment the old Master Bat realized that his blood sea formation had been destroyed, he sent over a trace of his consciousness from the void. And when he discovered that it was Lin Fan, he was thoroughly exhilarated. The previous time around, he had chased down this guy with the old Master Thunder and the others for quite some time. But eventually, this damned human gave them the slip. That was something that had them feeling extremely vexed. Right now, the old Master Bat swore to the heavens that he would definitely not let this human make his escape once more. Stop your mother. Come chase after me if you've got the guts. Lin Fan dove into the endless void as he roared out towards the old Master Bat. Just someone like the old Master Bat and he wished to be able to take down Lin Fan. That guy had got to be dreaming. The eventual victor of this matter was to be determined just yet. HMPH. When I get my hands on you later on, I'll definitely have you know the true meaning of horror. The old Master Bat laughed out sinisterly. He was determined to suppress this Mother *C King Human King entirely. If that were the case, all of those legendary items would belong to him. The moment he thought of this, the old Master Bat was filled with an endless amount of fighting spirit. Great Sage, how are you now? Lin Fan had been communicating with the Great Sage in his paradise this entire time. Through the couple of months of recuperation, the wounds of the Great Sage had healed up more or less by now. Almost done now. The aura of the Great Sage had stabilized by now, and there wasn't much of an issue anymore. With no major issues bothering the Great Sage, Lin Fan heaved out a sigh of relief as well. At this moment, Lin Fan checked out the situation of his surroundings. This was a desolate place with no signs of life whatsoever. Leaping out of the void, Lin Fan floated gently up in the sky. Why have you stopped running? When the old Master Bat saw how the Mother *C King Human King was just floating up in the sky, he broke into a cold laugh. Why should I run, unless you really think that you can take down yours truly, Lin Fan burst out laughing. Given his current strength, it wasn't much of an issue fighting with an utmost powerful being for a bit now. In this period of time that had passed, Lin Fan had not just been dazing off in his shopfront and doing nothing else. The unrivaled heaven dueling mystic technique was a mystic martial arts skill of the Great Sage. Towards this mystic skill, Lin Fan could say that he had some sort of a personal understanding, because of which, his battle prowess had risen quite a fair bit as well. As for the source of power, it had reached level 3 by now, and that gave his strength yet another major boost as well. Even if he were to fight it out with the old Master Bat, it wasn't going to be entirely impossible. However, an utmost powerful being was still an utmost powerful being no matter what. In terms of the states they were in, they were still above and pressing down on Lin Fan. Right now, Lin Fan just wanted to try out his strength for a little. In a flash, Lin Fan's body expanded out as a heaven-piercing aura burst forth from him. His battle intent was torrential as though he had just conquered through all the ancient times. Old Master Bat, show yours truly just how strong you utmost powerful beings are. Lin Fan's body jerked tremendously as he activated his movement skill, sinior, yet so far. Instantly, 8 Lin Fans appeared out within the void. When these 8 Lin Fans moved their bodies, countless of martial arts mystic skills were deployed in the blink of an eye. For utmost powerful beings, any form of stances or skills were all useless. To them, only absolute power could suppress everything. Ever since he had comprehended the intent of power, Lin Fan had a great deal of confidence in his own strength. Pretty interesting. When the old Master Bat caught sight of the scene before him, he laughed out coldly. Momentarily, a torrential blood sea surged up into the sky as an unparalleled mystic skill was deployed. The 8 Lin Fans fused into one immediately and appeared on the side of the old Master Bat. Slamming out with a single fist, a large amount of accumulated power was released, converging onto a single point that formed a typhoon of power, curling out before shredding at the old Master Bat straightaway. November LBJNN. This single fist was the comprehension of Lin Fan gained over these past few months. It was as though a power demonic god was standing right on this fist itself. This was a fist that possessed the might of the source of power. Lin Fan had an extremely talented gift and was able to comprehend any martial arts mystic skills in the shortest period of time. This was especially with this system that he possessed, which was just like a bug. This made him the sickest existence in this entire world. Even though the old Master Bat had always been looking down on the mother *Sea King Human King, when the fist burst forth with that unparalleled gleam of light, even the former's face could not help but tense up. Bam! This earth-shattering fist was blocked out by that blood sea of the old Master Bat. For Lin Fan, this punch felt as though it had just landed onto sponge. It felt weak and powerless, as though all the boundless impact had been absorbed up by that blood sea. Herg! Lin Fan roared out as the power of all 3 worlds within him rumbled out furiously and the source of power boomed out even more intensely. With the powers being channeled, this punch caused the entire blood sea to disperse in an instant. Step! Step! The old Master Bat stumbled back a few steps as he put on a serious expression thereafter. That's the source of power of the demonic god Pangu. How could a human like you? Under a moment of carelessness from the old Master Bat, he had actually taken in a slight loss. This was something that he felt absolutely unbelievable. The demonic god Pangu was once a demonic god of the ancient race. Later on, he became sworn brothers with an utmost powerful being of the thousands of races. Eventually, this sworn brother of his was killed by the demonic gods of the ancient race. This had the demonic god Pangu anguished beyond anything else, and in a fit of fury, he killed into the midst of the demonic gods of the ancient race. During that battle back then, the old Master Bat had been a witness of everything. Towards the strength of the demonic god Pangu, even he felt trepidation in his heart. At the same time, he became extremely familiar with the source of power. That's the reason why he could sense it the moment Lin Fan made use of the same move. What now? Are you surprised? But that's not the most surprising thing just yet. I've heard from the rumors that you're the weakest amongst all the utmost powerful beings. Old Master Bat, today, yours truly is going to take you down then. With that punch from earlier, Lin Fan could truly feel as though he had a shot at victory. Even though his current strength wasn't even at the immemorial ancient full cultivation state yet, he felt that he had the confidence to be able to defeat the old Master Bat. Big words. To think that with just someone like you, you'd think of taking down your old master here. I'll have you know what a fool's dream that is. The old Master Bat roared out as a humongous golden bat with 4 wings soared into the sky. That golden body of his shone with a chilling aura. The old Master Bat boosted the power of the bat world onto his own body. As that golden 4-winged bat screeched out, it turned into a gigantic golden palm that tore through the void. Lin Fan took a step forth and the void beneath him shattered. However, that did not bother him at all as a torrential battle intent burst forth from him. That battle intent was extremely formidable, making it seem as though he could fight across the endless firmaments. Unrivaled heaven-dueling mystic technique. The old Master Bat gasped out in shock. To think that this human would even comprehend the mystic skill of the great sage as well. Lin Fan's battle intent was surging right into the heavens right now. When that gigantic golden palm slammed down onto Lin Fan's body, it did not cause him any harm at all. How could this be? The face of the old Master Bat had lost all color right now as he was filled with disbelief. Lin Fan laughed out coldly. What a country bumpkin, bloody hell, the physical body state of yours truly had already reached an immemorial ancient full cultivation state. Even if he took out the strength he used to suck on his mum's tits, it wouldn't have a single FCK use on Lin Fan. Bam! That unrivaled battle intent pierced through the heaven and earth as Lin Fan appeared right before the face of the old Master Bat. As he punched out, his fist landed squarely on the old Master Bat's chest. Bam! Bam! The power exploded out as the body of old Master Bat ruptured furiously as well. The blood-bursting fist of the North Star was no joke. Even if the other party were an utmost powerful being, they would have no way of defending against this as well. When that golden-colored fresh blood sprayed out through the sky, the old master bat screamed out at the top of his lungs, "Mother ***king human king. Your old master here is going to ***king kill you." But, Lin Fan could only laugh out indifferently, "Come at me as you wish then." Chapter 939, You've set me up. Chapter 939, You've set me up. Pleasurable. This was just downright pleasurable. Old Master Bat, do you know what's the pinnacle of power? Lin Fan chuckled and asked. What? The old Master Bat exclaimed out, not know what this mother ****king human king was trying to say at all. Lin Fan gripped his fists tightly before casting a glance over at the old Master Bat. It is when I flatten you like a pancake. Damn it, the old Master Bat roared out. Cage of the Bat God. By now, the old Master Bat had been thoroughly pissed off by Lin Fan. After being an utmost powerful being for such a long time, since when had he been pushed to such an extent by an ant? Stretching out his palms, he trapped the entire world. The fingers of the old Master Bat expanded out rapidly as those blood-red fingernails of his skyrocketed out, caging Lin Fan in their midst. There was some kind of a connection between these 5 fingernails, causing the space, time, and everything else that was trapped in the radius of the fingernails to cease existing. Not bad. Looks a little overbearing now to be able to seal up time and space along with all the laws within it. The powers of an utmost powerful being are indeed mysterious. To be able to create an entire world in a pocket dimension, I'm afraid that's something only an immemorial ancient full cultivation state being is able to achieve it. But old Master Bat, you've really thought too much. Lin Fan's body flashed as a devastating sword will that could tear through the world shredded out of his body. The source of power was even gushing forth with an endless amount of strength continuously. With the combination of power and sword will, the amount of might that was brought forth was absolutely horrifying. Bringing forth with it a long streak of light, that sword will slashed out at those 5 fingers. That sharp sword will was relentless. Even if it were a dimensional world, it would be destroyed by it. Boom! When this move of Lin Fan clashed with the fingers of the old Master Bat, it gave off an extremely violent vibration. The old Master Bat roared out as all 5 of his fingers had actually started bursting apart bit by bit, turning back into their most primitive form of powers. These 5 fingers of the old Master Bat were a type of martial arts mystic skill. Or perhaps, it might be more accurate to call them an utmost treasure. But now that they were severed by that single sword will of Lin Fan and even destroyed by that source of power, how could the old Master Bat not be enraged? At the same time, the old Master Bat was absolutely flabbergasted. To think that this human would possess strength that was this formidable. This was just inconceivable. Lin Fan continued striding forth with a few more steps, causing the void to explode out. This was a sign that occurred when one's speed had reached its pinnacle. By the time the old Master Bat had reacted to it, Lin Fan had already appeared before his face. Come and enjoy it once more. Lin Fan roared out as he slammed out with a punch. The power that surged forth was boundless and unstoppable. Before the punch had even arrived, the old Master Bat was already enveloped by the momentum of the punch itself, which was like a sharp blade that sliced out at the void. How could it be this strong? How is it possible that a single human can actually comprehend the source of power of the demonic god Pangu? Up till now, the old Master Bat just couldn't understand why all of this was happening. Boom! The power reverberated out, but just as Lin Fan was prepared to watch the face of the old Master Bat turn into a mess of blood, he discovered that the body of the old Master Bat had suddenly turned into a blood mist. When the fist landed on it, the entire blood mist dispersed away. This was something that had Lin Fan surprised. To think that the old Master Bat would still have so many tricks up his sleeves. But on second thought, that should be the case as well. The old Master Bat was an utmost powerful being no matter what. God knows how many eras he had lived through. It was only natural for him to be full of tricks. By the time the blood mist cleared up and the old Master Bat reappeared with his true body, he was already 1,000 feet away. Damned mother ****king human king. To think that your strength would actually be this formidable. But, do you really think that you can escape this encounter with just that bit of abilities? The old Master Bat roared out as his eyes shone with an infinitely ominous glint. Every single being in this world has its own destiny. The Bat, word of the great Tao shall conquer over all beings. The old Master Bat shrieked out with a sharp tone as he opened his mouth wide. Instantly, the text character of the word, Bat, floated out. The moment the Bat text character appeared, the entire world seemed to be filled with a boundless power. This was a power that seemed to be traveling through countless of eras. The old master bat tore off an arm of his, which then exploded out, causing an endless blood stream to gush into that bat text character. Boom! All of a sudden, countless rivers of destiny encircled around the bat text character. Within these rivers of destiny was recorded the entire growth of the bat race. This was the power of an entire race that had been accumulated over countless of eras with a profound depth to it. This wasn't something that a single person could ever hope to defend against. Mother *C King Human King. Today, your ancestor is going to let you experience the accumulated power of the bat race over countless of eras. By tearing off his own arm, the old master bat had expended his own life's essence energy directly. At this moment, Lin Fan's brows furrowed. This was an extremely tremendous power. He then roared out, "If you wanna fight, come on then. Who's afraid of whom? Heaven and Earth Sutra, suppress everything with your boundless might." Boom! All of a sudden, something that shocked the old master bat happened. An endless number of golden text characters appeared and floated out behind Lin Fan's back. These text characters were none other than the Heaven and Earth Sutra. In the past, because Lin Fan's cultivation state was not enough, so he could not unleash the full might of the Heaven and Earth Sutra. But now that his cultivation was already at the immemorial ancient state, he could fully exhibit a part of the true powers that the Heaven and Earth Sutra possessed. You have text characters, and so do I. Also, I've got more than you. Let yours truly create the Heaven Bat word for you. Right now, Lin Fan burst forth with all the powers in his body. The life force of the mythical parasol tree was gushing out endlessly at this moment. This wasn't even considering the powers of the three worlds that were boosting it. The moment the Heaven and Earth Sutra was deployed, it was like a bottomless pit. Even if Lin Fan's strength was at the immemorial ancient state right now and he had the boosting of the three worlds' powers, he could still feel it taking a toll on his body. However, to completely unleash the power of two text characters wasn't that much of an issue eventually. Heaven Bat, how could this be? Right now, the old master bat was nearly spitting out blood. This was especially the case after seeing those two text characters. The face of the old master bat was totally stumped. When the Heaven and Earth Sutra placed the two text characters together, a gigantic bat that was filled with a heavenly might appeared behind Lin Fan's back. This bat was not the same as the old master bat, it brought with it an unrivaled and boundless godly might. It was as though this bat here was the true primogenitor of the old master bat himself. Go! Lin Fan could feel the powers that were being expended from his body taking quite the toll now as he slammed out with his palm. The Heaven Bat that covered the entire sky rushed down and attacked at that text character that the old master bat had summoned out through sacrificing. Boom! When both parties clashed, the old master bat spat out a mouthful of blood. As he heard the creaking sound, his eyes were almost shattered while he screamed out tragically, "No!" Unable to withstand this immense force, the text character of the old master bat started disintegrating before disappearing from the face of the world. The godly text of your ancestor. The old master bat howled out. Ha ha, old master bat, prepare to die. Lin Fan bellowed out. His body was like a gigantic bird right now that punched out at the old master bat. Instantly, an energy current rippled out through the entire world, destroying everything in its path. I'll have your life. With his godly text being destroyed by Lin Fan, the old master bat was totally incensed. But at this moment, he lost all color in his face as a figure appeared before both his eyes. Lin Fan's lips curled into a cold grin. When the punch was nearly reaching the old master bat, the world of his paradise opened up on that fist. Within that paradise was a godly ape standing in a berserk stance. His aura was invincible and that godly cudgel in his hands was ever so imposing. At that moment, that invincible aura ruptured out. That was the figure of the great sage. You've set me up. The old master bat was so scared that his soul was about to scatter right now. But everything was all too late. That was because the cudgel of the great sage had already slammed out of the paradise with a godly radiance, which collided heavily with the body of the old master bat. Bam! Chapter 940, A Complete Slaughter. Chapter 940, A Complete Slaughter. The old master bat would have never imagined in his entire life that he would be set up by someone else. Wasn't the great sage crippled by the old master thunder? Without 100 years or so, how could he have possibly recovered? But right now, it was all too late for those questions. Old master bat, hand your life over. After the great sage had recovered, he slammed out at the old master bat with his most berserk attack ever. Even though the old master bat was an utmost powerful being and had the confidence that his powers would be enough to defend against this, his body still exploded back as he spat out a mouthful of blood under this formidable might. His flesh and meat scattered out all over the void. Impossible. How could this be? How could you have recovered so quickly, you damned monkey? The old master bat roared out in rage. A series of utmost powerful law god chains burst out and swiveled through the void to encircle and protect his body. However, the cudgel of the great sage was something far from simple. Bringing forth with it an unrivaled godly power that burst forth, even if it were the old master bat or any other utmost powerful beings, they wouldn't be able to defend against it. When the great sage came out of the paradise, he wielded the godly cudgel in his hands and stood tall within the world. A torrential aura infected the entire world. Even the aura of the old master bat had no choice but to be repressed by that of the great sage. Old master bat, your death day shall be today. The great sage roared out as the motion of his hands did not let up at all. Seizing the time now when he had the advantage, he was determined to have the old master bat killed for sure. When Lin Fan caught sight of this, he got hurried. The great sage mustn't kill him. If he were killed, that would be an enormous amount of experience points gone. Great sage, you make way. Let me do it, Lin Fan yelled out and hurried over to whack it all up. He then took out the eternal axe from his storage. Old master bat, your life shall be reaped in by yours truly. Lin Fan shouted out as his eyes shone with an endless brilliance. Bloody hell, all of those experience points. As long as he could take down the old master bat, he was going to level up like hell. You dare, the old master bat bellowed out, and then channeled his powers, causing his flesh and blood to rumble out furiously. However, that single slam of the great sage was filled with his heaven-dueling intent, and wasn't something that could be fended off so easily. All cleave. Lin Fan raised the eternal axe up high and slammed down on the flesh and blood of the old master bat one cleave after another. It was as though he was a butcher chopping up pork into mincemeat right now. The old master bat wailed out tragically, "Beast! You're going to have a terrible death." Lin Fan used up all of his strength, and every single slam of the axe brought with it a devastating aura. Bam, bam, Lin Fan did not care about how miserable the old master bat was right now. For him, it was all just bloody experience points. However, this old master bat had one hell of a resilient life indeed. To think that he wouldn't die yet after being cleaved by so many attacks of Lin Fan by now. However, none of that mattered anymore. For Lin Fan, all it meant was that it would require yet another few more cleaves, that was all. A series of tragic wails rang out through the entire world. Those sounds were extremely anguishing to hear. Right now, Lin Fan was just like a butcher that was cruelly mistreating a pitiful bat. The old master bat was panicking at this moment. He hadn't thought that he would actually die in the hands of this human. All of the utmost laws within his body were breaking apart as though they could not deal with the chopping of the other party. You can't kill me. I'm an utmost powerful being. I'm the utmost powerful being of the bat race. The old master bat screamed out as his mental state started quivering. For countless of eras, he had never once felt fear. But, all of that was bursting out of his body at this moment. Please spare my life, Mother *C King Human King. I'll never dare to do it ever again. As long as you don't kill me, I'll definitely be willing to be your slave from now on forth. The old master bat did not wish to die. He had finally reached this level after countless of eras. How could he bear to die just like this? He wanted to conquer over the world and transcend into eternity. Hooey, old master bat, your death shall come today. Even if you don't dare to do it ever again, that's of no FC King use. You can just be a dead soul for yours truly's acts obediently. Lin Fan roared out in laughter. His heart was ecstatic right now. This was going to be yet another bountiful round of reaping. As long as he were to fight alongside the great sage hand in hand from now on, they could definitely kill more utmost powerful beings. If his strength could reach immemorial ancient full cultivation state, wouldn't that just be totally awesome? Damn it, Mother *C King Human King, don't you get too cocky now. You'll never be able to kill your ancestor here. Even if your ancestor has to give up his lifetime of cultivation, I will definitely find a way to come back and kill you one day. The old master bat screamed out. For him right now, there was only a single way left. He had to give up all of his cultivation of this life and reincarnate with his consciousness. Old master bat, you wish to reincarnate with your consciousness. You're just dreaming right now. Slay. At this moment, Lin Fan hollered out as the aura of the reincarnation skill erupted forth furiously. That single axe sliced through time and space and slew away the past life of the old master bat. How do you know of the ancestral Buddha's triple lifetime reincarnation sutra? The old master bat yelped out in shock. The greatest trump card that the old master bat had was this mystic skill of the ancestral Buddha. But, to think that this Mother *C King Human King before him would be in possession of it as well. This was something that had the old Master Bat revealing a look of shock. Lin Fan chuckled out. He was the very person who had scattered out this mystic skill of the ancestral Buddha after all. And yet, this old Master Bat here was asking him why he had it. How laughable was this? The second slaying, the slaying of his future life. Well, the future of the old Master Bat had no future any longer. That was because he was going to die right here today. The old Master Bat was panicking right now. From the unknowns, he could feel two mysterious connections that were disappearing from his body right now. This damned mother ** Sea King Human King had really gone ahead and slain away his past and future life. Goodbye now, old Master Bat. The third slaying, your present life. Thud, an axe flash streaked through the entire world as the flesh and blood of the old Master Bat burst forth with an incredible blood gleam before erupting out thereafter. Your ancestor is indignant, old Master Thunder, seek revenge for me. Right at the brink of his death, the grudges of the old Master Bat pierced right into the heavens. That was the last bit of his life that was transmitted into the endless void. Ding, congratulations on killing old Master of the Bat race. Ding, experience points plus. Ding, cultivation state leveled up. Cultivation state, immemorial ancient middle level state. At the moment of the old Master Bat's death, the notifications of the system rang out as well. Pleasurable, this was what it truly meant to receive a bloody sea of experience points. The rise of his strength gave Lin Fan an incredibly boundless confidence towards his future. Immemorial ancient middle level cultivation state. Even though this wasn't the pinnacle state just yet, he knew that with his current strength, it would be enough for him to fight it out if he met an utmost powerful being. At this moment, Lin Fan found a sparkling shard that had appeared in the void. Seemed like there was even something that had popped out after killing the old Master Bat. When Lin Fan took this in his hands, the notification from the system came through. Ding, congratulations on obtaining core of the Bat World. Do you wish to cultivate? Cultivate. Ding, congratulations on cultivation success. Obtained Bat World. After Lin Fan cultivated the core of the Bat World, the void trembled slightly as a beam of light penetrated into Lin Fan's body. Creator. 4/1000ths. Right now within Lin Fan's inner world, the Bat World was revolving around the source of power as well. Seemed like the old Master Bat had also cultivated the entire Bat World before he descended here. That was something that saved Lin Fan a lot of trouble. It's time for us to leave. That final burst of consciousness from the old Master Bat must have alerted the old Master Thunder and the others. After witnessing the death of the old Master Bat, the great sage's face was calmer as though the fury in his heart had subsided by quite a bit. Yes, Lin Fan nodded his head. The strength of the old Master Thunder was extremely formidable. If he knew that Lin Fan was here, he would definitely gather a few other utmost powerful beings. Instantly, Lin Fan and the great sage dove into the void and headed off into the distance.